New Orleans Saints playing here is their last two trips. The NFC Championship game 2 years ago, the Bears advanced to the Super Bowl, and last year New Orleans in the final weekend of the season had a chance to earn a playoff spot, but Devin Hester's punt return messed everything up for New Orleans as the Bears won it 33-25. And when you talk about these conditions and you talk about Chicago, you think about the Bears in defense. But Chris, their defense this year doesn't seem to have the same growl as in years past.
No, they got the same names, though. You got Lance Briggs, and you got Brian Urlacher, and you got Mike Brown and Tommy Harris, and all the guys that has made up this defense for such a long period of time. And yet you look at some of the numbers, and they have given up some big numbers this year. It has not been very Bear-like, and maybe we should be more concerned with the fact they have to play the Saints offense than the other way around.
It's going to be very interesting with both teams at 7-6 on the season. Time for the national anthem. Here's Jamie O'Neal.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Two teams that'll try to keep their playoff hopes alive. Will it be Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints or Brian Urlacher and the Chicago Bears? The kickoff coming your way next on NFL Network.
Vikings last week said today that a temporary restraining order will remain in effect until after a full hearing. Broken down, what that means in layman's terms is these players will be allowed to play this season and into the postseason, though the Saints have deactivated running back Deuce McAllister tonight. He's been battling swelling in his knee. Also, the New Orleans Saints are going to lose their offensive coordinator, Doug Marrone. He's going to accept the Syracuse head coaching job.
Well, Adam talked with Sean Payton, the head coach, about Doug Marrone. He is so excited for Doug Marrone getting that job, a Bronx native, someone who played at Syracuse, and he said it is great. We haven't decided how we're going to move forward as far as game planning and assignments, but we are thrilled that Doug Marrone is getting an opportunity to coach at his alma mater.
Yeah, and Doug was a tremendous high school player, recruited all over the country, and he chose Syracuse, and I'm sure that'll be part of his pitch as he goes out to recruit some young men now.
New Orleans won the toss. They've elected to defer. So the Saints will get week 15 of the NFL season underway. Hartley with an end-over-end kick taken by Danielle Manning of the Bears. Manning with a crease. Manning is going. Danielle Manning, 83 yards, and what a start for Chicago. No flags on the play. Danielle Manning has become the first Bear since 1972 to return a kickoff for a touchdown on the opening kickoff.
And how bizarre is it that it's not Devin Hester? Devin Hester, who had become such a sensation in this league over the past couple of years, 11 returns, both kickoff returns and punts, and yet Danielle Manning has taken his job this season, and now you see why.
First kickoff return for a touchdown for the third-year man out of Abilene Christian, and just like that, the Chicago Bears strike first. Robbie Gould with the extra point, and Danielle Manning gives the Chicago Bears some warm feelings on this cold night. 83 yards, coast to coast for the touchdown. Chicago, Danielle Manning with an 83-yard kickoff return to start the game for a touchdown. First regular season kickoff return to start a game for Chicago since 1972. Of course, Devin Hester on your left did it in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and so much for deferring by the New Orleans Saints. Pierre Thomas does not field it, taken by one of the up men, and New Orleans will start at their own 28-yard line. Kick return by Mike Carney, the fullback. Well, Drew Brees, starting at quarterback, leads the NFL with 4,100 yards passing this season. Reggie Bush averaging 3.7 yards a rush on the year for the New Orleans Saints. Marcus Colston with just one touchdown catch this season. He's battled injury. Jeremy Shockey, 44 catches this year, and Zach Strief will start at left tackle for the injured Jamal Brown. That's a matchup we'll keep our eye on throughout the course of the evening, going against Alex Brown of the Bears.
Yeah, we're sorry we couldn't give you a little more exciting start to this game. That was something.
Ball is spotted at the 17. There was a fair catch signal called by New Orleans, and that's why they'll start at their own 17-yard line. Pierre Thomas gets a couple as we take a look at the Bears defense out of Wally Agunlier with 5 sacks on the season. Tommy Harris and Anthony Adams in the middle. Alex Brown with 30 tackles on the year. Lance Briggs and Brian Urlacher, the linebackers, as well as Nick Roach, a second-year man out of Northwestern. Corey Graham starting with the injury to Nathan Vasher. Mike Brown and Kevin Payne are the safeties for Chicago. After a gain of 1 for Thomas, 2nd and 9 for New Orleans. Breeze has Colston, and Colston near the first down marker, tripped up by Briggs and Payne. It looks like he has enough for the first down.
Well, one of the things you're going to see consistently out of the Chicago Bears is a lot of blitzing here tonight, and I think Drew Brees is the kind of guy that could take full advantage of that. That time he saw the linebackers coming on a blitz and just simply hit Colston on a little hot route. And when you look at the numbers, though, for the Chicago Bears, they send a lot of people a lot of the time. But for the Saints, instead of trying to hang in there and block them, they're just going to put the ball in the hands of Drew Brees, spread it all out, and try and hit some quick passes.
Jeremy Shockey in motion. Toss it to the outside of the Chicago native, Pierre Thomas. Fights his way across the 35 to about the 37, near a first down.
Yeah, Bob, how about the year that Pierre Thomas is having in the game that he had last season against the Chicago Bears? In that game, the season finale, 105 yards rushing, 121 yards receiving. The only back in the history of the NFL against the Chicago Bears to have 100 yards receiving, 100 yards in rushing in the history of the game against this franchise. Pierre Thomas is the guy that did it.
Thomas likes coming home. Reggie Bush on a slip screen gets a block. Bush in space, slips and dives to midfield, but he picks up about 13 and a first down.
Well, this is what you're going to get out of Reggie Bush. He's not really a pure running back. He's sort of a receiver running back. Remember, Marshall Faulk used to come out and flank himself out wide, try to get the ball in his hands. And one of the things they've done here in Chicago is they've resodded the field between the numbers, but outside the numbers, it's still slippery. And you could see Reggie Bush slipping just a little bit there on the outside.
Bush got a nice block from Jari Evans on Brian Urlacher. 1st and 10. Thomas dives to about the 44-yard line. Picks up 4.5. Charles Tillman on the tackle for Chicago. Chris, Pierre Thomas is someone that Drew Brees has the utmost confidence in, doesn't he?
Well, he really does. I was talking to Drew the other day, and I said, tell me about Pierre Thomas. Do you think that he's really a guy that could be the featured back, or do you guys really need to draft somebody, a high draft pick, to be the featured guy? He's like, no. He said, this guy can do everything. I mean, since he's been inserted in the offense, we have a running game. He's tough, he's smart, he knows how to do blitz pickups. We love him.
2nd and 6 for Breeze, looking for Colston, overthrows him with Tillman on the coverage.
Working on Charles Tillman on the outside, a little, as they call it, a sluggo route, a slant and go. And of course, Charles Tillman, unfortunately, was the guy that got burned in the Minnesota game against Bernard Berrien, his former teammate, giving up that 99-yard touchdown pass. So they like doing some double moves against Charles Tillman.
New Orleans trying to keep their first offensive possession alive. 3rd and 6 at the Chicago 45. First third down attempt on this drive for New Orleans. Meacham was the motion man as Breeze will throw. Feels pressure, sack. Alex Brown. His 6th of the season. There's a flag on the play in the secondary, though. So hold everything. Mike Carey is out.
Holding. Defense number 21.
Wow.
5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
That's Corey Graham playing for the injured Nathan Vasher, who's on injured reserve. And that's an automatic first down.
Talk about a momentum switch there. Corey Graham's going to be covering in the slot against Billy Miller down the field, and you can see him just sort of grabbing and pulling. But by that time, Drew Brees was on his back. And Drew Brees had only been sacked 10 times coming into this game. But tonight, without his left tackle, Jamal Brown, it should be a little more interesting.
So on 1st and 10, little screen, and it's dropped by Devery Henderson. That was a problem that plagued New Orleans in the NFC Championship game, Chris. Early in that game, they had a lot of drop passes when they had opportunities to make plays.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this in a nice way. Devery Henderson's one of the great deep threats, a speed receiver, works down the field, makes big plays. Doesn't really like running those slants, all right? I'm just going to leave it at that. He preferred not to be inside there.
2nd and 10 for Breeze. Pass deflected at the line, intended for Pierre Thomas. Marcus Harrison got a hand on it.
And then he got a little hello from Brian Urlacher at the end of this one. Pierre Thomas thought he was going to get it, and instead he got it from Urlacher. That was borderline late hit, but got away with it.
Well, if you're not going to get to the quarterback, at least get your hand in the passing lane, right?
There you go.
So a 3rd and 10 for the Saints. The Danielle Manning 83-yard kickoff return to start the game has Chicago in front 7-0. Play clock down to 3. Breeze under some pressure, and it's intercepted by Mike Brown. The veteran safety out of Nebraska has the turnover, and he takes it up to the 39. Another flag, though, back at the 15-yard line. Was the contact early? The back judge threw the flag.
The ruling on the field is an interception, down by contact, first down. Timeout.
So there is no flag. They're picking up the flag. Drew Brees trying to find Lance Moore. And Mike Brown gets the pick, his 2nd of the year.
Well, Mike Brown right back here is just going to sit and wait. They have a blitz look coming from the Chicago Bears, but really it's just a zone defense. You'll see the 3 deep drop, not man coverage at all. Mike Brown just simply reading the eyes of Drew Brees, jump the route, first turnover.
So Drew Brees gets picked off. Good drive comes to an end. Mike Brown gets his 2nd interception of the season. First try for the Bears on offense. Matt Forte trying to find some outside running room. Not much there. Will Smith on the tackle as we take a look at the Bears. Starting offense led by quarterback Kyle Orton in his 4th year out of Purdue. Likes playing at home. 13-2 as a starter here at home. Matt Forte over 1,000 yards rushing on the season. Brandon Lloyd, one of the wide receivers with 19 catches, good tight ends. And the center, Olin Kreutz, starting his 100th straight game. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. 2nd and 10 for Chicago. Orton to the outside and completes it to Devin Hester, who makes his 40th catch of the season. Forte got shaken up on that first carry.
Well, and that is a significant blow because Matt Forte is the offense. Essentially about 35, 36% of the offense for the Chicago Bears goes through Matt Forte, either receiving or running.
So Adrian Peterson is in, and he takes the carry. Hit by Kendrick Clancy right near the first down marker. This is a big storyline right now.
Well, we've been talking about Matt Forte and his ability all season to not hit that rookie wall. You know, he hasn't been hurt. He's been able to carry the load. You see him in shirt sleeves. The fans here in Chicago absolutely love him, but I couldn't tell if it was his foot or ankle or exactly what it was. But Matt Forte, look at the numbers. 37% of this offense goes through him, and that is the highest percentage of any offensive weapon. Even when you consider Adrian Peterson, Clinton Portis, a couple of the great backs in this league, Matt Forte has a higher percentage.
You're going to measure on the Peterson run. And they'll stretch the change, and he's short by about a half a foot. They work on Forte. Take a look at that running play as he got tackled by Will Smith.
Yeah.
Will Smith fell on his ankle.
Yeah, his right foot. Will Smith came down, and Forte's foot was sort of pinned underneath him. And that is not a good sign for the Bears. So a little good news, bad news for Chicago to start. They get the big kickoff return, but they lose their major offensive weapon. And now we get to look at Reggie Bush if they kick to him.
Brad Maynard on a 4th and inches. To the near sideline, Reggie Bush slips at his own 15 and covered up by Rasheed Davis. So a good punt by Maynard. Reggie Bush had nowhere to go. The story, though, for the Bears, Matt Forte and his leg. Chicago, Chris, the wind chill's up to 19.
The guys are partying in the stands there. They're getting it going.
I think it's because of Danielle Manning, who you see right there warming up his hands in his 83-yard kickoff return to start this ball game. Great punt by Brad Maynard of the Bears, officially 53 yards. So New Orleans will start from their own 15. Meacham in motion. They'll run it on first down, and Pierre Thomas gets a couple. Saints had a good drive going on their first offensive possession, but Drew Brees picked off by Mike Brown for Brees' 15th interception this season.
Well, it's a risk-reward offense, but one of the things they've been able to do is protect Drew Brees. But tonight, Jamal Brown, their outstanding left tackle, a Pro Bowler, is out. Zach Strief is in there to replace him, and they may have to get a little creative with some of these protections now against this blitzing Bears defense.
Second down, Thomas again across the 20, and Anthony Adams gobbles him up. Zach Strief, the left tackle, in for Jamal Brown, who's got an ankle injury. Strief's a third-year man, 7th-round pick out of Northwestern. He started 1 game last year at left tackle and 1 game his rookie year at left tackle.
Yeah, and he's not the athlete that Jamal Brown is, and so Alex Brown, coming off of that defensive end position, should be able to get some jumps and get some pressure on the outside. We've already seen a couple of different looks on pass protection. Let's see what they do here.
Reggie Bush in motion at the bottom of your screen. 3rd and 4 for Brees. Looking for Colston. Airmails it incomplete. Good coverage, though, by Tillman and the safety, Kevin Payne. So what Sean Payton told us yesterday, we can't have 3 and outs. We can't give Chicago a short field. They do nothing starting at their own 15, and they have to punt.
Yeah, and one of the problems they're going to have on offense, that time Jeremy Shockey, their outstanding receiving tight end, had to stay in and help Zach Strief block Alex Brown. And if that's the case, that's a loss of a major weapon.
Len Pakulak to punt to Devin Hester. Hester inside his own 30. Hester losing ground, and he's going to lose a lot more. Great pursuit to the football by Roman Harper as he pins Devin Hester deep. Loss of 10 on the return after a 51-yard punt.
What happens when you grant a grant a wish?
Festive evening in Chicago. Moments ago, Matt Forte being taken to the locker room after suffering an injury to his right foot on his first carry of the ball game. Forte has set a Bears rookie running back record yards from scrimmage coming into this game with 1,476, passing the mark set by Gale Sayers in 1965. Forte did it in 13 games. Sayers in 14.
Yeah, no question, he's a special player. 481 yards from scrimmage the last 4 weeks. That's the most in the NFL.
Adrian Peterson in a tailback in the eye. Hester split to the top of your screen. Orton on a play fake to throw. Looking for Devin Hester. Devin Hester can't reach out and get it. He had a step on Randall Gay and then some.
Boy, that's about as sophisticated a route as I've seen out of Devin Hester. He's going to go post, corner, post. On the outside, gets Randall Gay all turned around and then turns it on with that great speed, and Kyle Orton just missed him. And this is a team, the Chicago Bears, that has really struggled on their down the field throws. They're pretty good with the shorter, quicker throws, but down the field they have not been good.
Bears starting from inside their own 10 after an illegal block by Kellen Davis. Here's Peterson bursting through the middle and right near the first down marker. Let's check in on the sideline with Adam Schefter. Adam?
All right, Bob, the Bears are saying that Matt Forte has a toe injury, that his return tonight is questionable. Now, after they taped up his ankle and his foot, he jogged along the sideline lightly and then walked off to the locker room. The Bears say his return with that toe injury is questionable.
Happened on the first carry of the ball game. 3rd and inches. Orton will keep it. Orton has a first down for Chicago.
You know, it's the year of the toe, I guess. Marion Barber with the Dallas Cowboys had to miss the game last week against the Steelers. And, you know, you sort of almost tend to scoff at that a little bit. But some of the great players in the league, like Jack Lambert, essentially had to retire because of a toe injury.
I just thought they should have come up with a better name for turf toe, because fans think, oh, it's just a toe injury. It's so much more severe than people think. Orton to throw on 1st and 10. Orton to the sideline to Brandon Lloyd. He makes a gorgeous catch for a first down.
Well, that's certainly good news for the Chicago Bears that their receivers are starting to make some plays. Brandon Lloyd missed 5 games this season with a knee injury, and he had a bunch of catches early on, but just 6 catches since that knee injury, so it's good to have him back in play again.
Gain of 16. Orton working out of the gun. He's got Peterson to his right. On a 1st and 10, Orton again. Airmails Greg Olsen. Well, catch NFL Replay for re-airs of the weekend's 4 best games. Enhanced wired sound, exclusive footage. Get all the post-game reaction. NFL Replay, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 8, 9:30 Eastern, only on NFL Network. In fact, today I was watching the Saints and the Falcons from this past weekend. And a good finish by New Orleans as they were able to get the stop and then run out the clock late.
Kind of get the rest of the story. A little Paul Harvey football.
Peterson met head-on in the line by Jonathan Vilma. Vilma acquired in a trade from the New York Jets. Very comfortable back in a 4-3 defense. He's really added some athleticism. Coming off the knee injury last year, he says it feels great, and he's really enjoying his time in New Orleans.
Yeah, and when he was with the Jets and they switched to the 3-4 defense, just so people understand it, a 3-4, linebackers have to take on those big 300-pound guards straight on, and that's not Jonathan Vilma's game. His game is to run sideline to sideline, a little like Brian Urlacher. He plays that same sort of game. He doesn't want to take on those guards either.
3rd and 9 for the Bears and Orton. Saints showing blitz. And it's a false start against Chicago.
False start. Offense number 23. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Devin Hester flinched.
And I think what Lovie Smith is saying is that he was forced offside because the blitzing linebacker jumped in the gap and he was offside, and that's what drew it. But you could see Hester move and then went with the late motion.
Hey, you got to improvise sometimes. So 3rd and 14 for Chicago. 5 minutes to go in the first. Little screen for Peterson. Peterson hit by Harper and dropped short of the sticks at the 40-yard line. But Chicago changes field position. Chris, they were pinned inside their own 10. They've at least gotten it out to the 40-yard line where they could possibly pin Reggie Bush and the Saints back deep again.
Yeah, they changed it for now, but number 25 standing back there waiting to catch it, and he can change it again. But well, I tell you this, Brad Maynard has been such a weapon as a punter with his directional kicks. He was a nightmare for Jacksonville last weekend.
His last one was for 53 yards and no return. Maynard with a short punt this time. Bounces at the 30. And the Bears will touch it right about there. The Drew Brees has been picked off once, trying to get this game even at 7 as the offense takes the field. Sean Payton had a chance to play in the NFL with the Bears. 3-game NFL career in replacement games in 1987. He played against the Saints and lost 19-7. He was sacked 7 times. And right about there he said, enough.
I think he's a better coach than quarterback, don't you?
Sean also played for the Chicago Bruisers of the AFL and the Ottawa Rough Riders in the CFL. Reggie Bush across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Bush picks up 13 on the carry. First down, New Orleans.
And Reggie Bush last week ripped one off for about 42, 43 yards. I think it was his first 30-yard run of his career. And if you watched him at all in college at USC, you would have thought he would have had 3 or 4 every single game. But it was a good-looking effort last week by Reggie Bush in that one. 80 yards rushing on just 10 tries.
He told us yesterday, he said, listen, you got to make one cut in the NFL and go, and I'm learning that. Everybody's fast in this league. Brees on a 1st and 10. Fastball for Colston, deflected by Briggs. Colston almost had a chance, though, to get it off the deflection.
Really nice reaction there by both of the star linebackers inside, both Urlacher and Briggs, able to get back in there, because if they did not get that last finger on the football, Marcus Colston had nobody behind him. He would have scored a touchdown.
So 2nd and 10 for Brees and the Saints. 3.5 to go here in the first. The only score, the opening kickoff returned by Danielle Manning, 83 yards. Little screen for Pierre Thomas, gets a good block into Bear territory, and he has a first down to the 44-yard line. Gain of 12.
Well, we've talked about the fact that Zach Strief is over on the left side. We're seeing the Bears attack a lot on this side to try and take advantage of it. So what do? Simply go screen away and pick up a big play. Look at all the blitzers on the right side. Drew Brees knows it, dumps it off. Big play for the Saints.
So 1st and 10 for New Orleans. Their first drive stalled when Brees was picked off. Toss for Bush. Reggie gets the edge and then dragged down from behind at the 41-yard line by Israel Adonijah.
Once again, going to come across with Billy Miller to help on the tight end position, but big Zach Strief, who's not really known for his athleticism, gets out there on Charles Tillman, and that's a nice block. They think he can play. There's Billy Miller, who had a good block as well, but Zach Strief, they made no apologies for him. He said, listen, we know Jamal Brown, he's a Pro Bowler, but Strief is ready. Trust me, he will not embarrass himself out there.
2nd and 6. Bush trying to make that next cut and could not. Urlacher fell on his back at the 38-yard line.
You know, it's one of the reasons that I think that Matt Forte is sort of the perfect Chicago Bears running back. You could just see there Reggie Bush, who is a quicker move, quick twitch kind of a back, trying to make a second cut. You can't do it on this field when it gets late in the year. You have to make one cut and go, and if you don't do that, you're going to end up tackling yourself.
That's what Lovie Smith said about Matt Forte. He said, we can't have a 175-pound scat back halfback playing in these conditions. 3rd and 4. Bush in motion. Brees with time. Beautiful play by Corey Graham. On a pass intended for Colston.
Well, that's just outstanding right there. Corey Graham, who's filling in for Nathan Vasher, just one of the injured cornerbacks in this game. It was man coverage all the way as Reggie Bush came across in motion. You saw Danielle Manning going with them. So Drew Brees knew immediately it was going to be man coverage, but instead of throwing it down the field to Bush, he opted to come underneath, and not that time, said Corey Graham.
Devin Hester's last return went for -10 as Glenn Pakaluk punt. Sends a toppling kick that'll bound at the 15 and takes an unfortunate roll for New Orleans. It goes for a touchback. Well, NFL Total Access takes you around the league for the latest news and info from all 32 teams. NFL Total Access Monday through Saturday only on NFL Network. Rich Eisen and the entire crew break it down for you like nobody else in the business. Total Access on NFL Network.
You know, for Kyle Orton, remember, they haven't scored any points in this game yet offensively either. Here's a guy that was sailing right along, a 90 quarterback rating until he injured his ankle, and since then he has really fallen off. Been a little better the last week, at least, maybe the last two, but a struggle.
Peterson on a 1st and 10 carry, picks up about a yard, and that's it. Scott Fujita and Josh Bullocks on the tackle. We want to welcome those of you who are joining us on NFL.com. Welcome to NFL Network Thursday Night Football. Remember, you can log on now to NFL.com/live for enhanced coverage of tonight's game. So on a 2nd and 9 for Orton. Peterson in a one-back set. Orton gets it to his tight end, Greg Olsen. He's engulfed at the 26-yard line, 4 yards short. And there is Matt Forte. Looks like he's going to head to the tunnel and come back out to the field here for the Chicago Bears after suffering an injury to his right foot.
Well, that's good news. I'm sure he went in for some x-rays, make sure nothing was broken, and as he has done all season, he answers the bell. And my guess is he's going to get a pretty nice ovation when he walks back out on this field.
There's the ovation from Forte, and some cheers for the Bears. Danielle Manning with an 83-yard kickoff return to start the game. That's the only score. Bears in front, 7-0 after 1. 7-0. 3rd and 4 for Chicago. Slant for Hester, knocked away at the point of attack by Cedric Ellis, the talented rookie out of USC, the 7th overall pick. They continue to work on Matt Forte.
Yeah, it underscores the significance of this game. You have a bit of the franchise player in Matt Forte, who obviously is injured, and yet on this night, in this situation where it's sort of a do or die kind of a thing, you tape him up and send him back out there.
Saints have moved the ball, but the Drew Brees pick thwarted the drive. Maynard to punt to Reggie Bush. Bush with some room from his own 32. Flags fly as he gets tackled at the 40. And I think they're going to get a penalty on Roman Harper for an illegal block in the back.
And we're seeing Brad Maynard on every single punt, punting it outside the numbers to get Reggie Bush on that bad turf. Every single one of those have been to the outside because they don't think that Bush can handle that turf.
During the return, illegal block on the back, receiving team number 41 from the spot of the foul, 10-yard penalty, first down.
So that negates good field position. The penalty on Roman Harper. Well, we take a look at the NFC playoff picture. Obviously, the Chicago Bears and New Orleans Saints at 7-6 in desperate need of a victory. In fact, Chris, if the Bears were to lose tonight, they could be eliminated with a Minnesota win on Sunday.
Yeah, and actually the Bears got bad news on the star cap situation because they had sort of hoped, I think, that Pat and Kevin Williams would have been ended up suspended, but now it looks like they're going to be there for the rest of the season.
Not any room for Thomas. Nick Roach and Lance Briggs shut it down in a hurry.
Yeah, Nick Roach coming in and taking over the starting position for Hunter Hillenmeyer. He hasn't played up to the level that I think they thought he might been battling a couple of injuries here and there, but Hillenmeyer had been a starter on this Bears defense for a long time, but they thought Roach just a little more athletic and giving him the opportunity.
Roach played his college ball at Northwestern, signed off the San Diego practice squad last year. Reggie Bush gets a seam, bounces up to the 30-yard line before Mike Brown made the tackle. Let's check in with Adam Schefter.
Bob, Matt Forte came out of the locker room, was jogging in place, was jogging up and down the sideline, grabbed his helmet, looks like he's ready to go back in the game once the Bears get the ball back.
They absolutely love him here.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that we've never had a rookie that knew more about our offense after 3 days of practice than he did. He understands the whole thing.
Same pass protection schemes as he had in college. Big 3rd and 3 here for New Orleans. Breeze completes it, and they've got a first down with Lance Moore, someone that Breeze has really developed a tremendous comfort level with.
Yeah, it really is amazing when you consider that Lance Moore, an undrafted free agent, has become the go-to guy. You can just see it as you watch the tape that Drew Brees, when he gets in a tight situation like that 3rd down, he loves going to Lance Moore, and it's sort of strange that an undrafted free agent is the leading receiver and an undrafted free agent is the star running back now in Pierre Thomas.
New Orleans works out of a 2 tight end set here on a 1st and 10. Breeze zips it to Meacham, who dropped it. You know, we were talking about Lance Moore, and I was going to mention Robert Meacham, who they took 27th overall last year in the draft. Inactive for all 16 games last year. He suffered a leg injury in camp, and this year only 9 catches.
Yeah, and Breeze will tell you this guy shows flashes of greatness, and he shows flashes of this. You know, I mean, you can't have an easier ball than that one right there. High draft pick to be dropping balls like that in key moments in a key game.
2nd and 10. Bush under pressure, sack. Alex Brown gets the sack.
Well, we've been talking about it, and Zach Strief playing left tackle, trying to work against Alex Brown, and Alex Brown has one of the better bull rush moves in the league. May not go around you all the time, but if you allow him to set you up for that inside move, he's going to wear you out. Already, it's got to be getting in the back of Drew Brees' mind. He's had such great protection all year, but it's beginning to look more and more like this is going to be a liability on the left side.
6th sack for Brown. His earlier sack was negated because of a defensive holding penalty. 3rd and 16 for Breeze. Buy some time. He's got Colston for a first down into Bear territory and tackled at the 46-yard line by Corey Graham. Huge conversion and a gain of 22.
Well, that time they changed up protections a little bit. Jari Evans, the right guard, right here is going to pull out, and he's going to make the block on the outside. So they're trying to take a little bit of pressure here off of Zach Strief, and it worked that time. Drew Brees had more time than he's had so far in this ball game, and it paid off big.
24 on a 3rd and 16. So again, New Orleans in plus territory. They've turned it over once. Breeze steps up, buys some time under pressure. Nearly intercepted by Brown on the pass intended for Shockey. Mike Brown nearly had a 2nd pick of the first half.
You know, Mike Brown's not as young as he used to be, but he still knows what's happening down there, and he sort of set up Drew Brees on that one. He saw Shockey all the way, and Shockey didn't do much to come back to his quarterback there. You're always taught as a receiver you have to keep coming back to the quarterback. And he almost handed Mike Brown an interception by not doing it.
Breeze 5 of 14 for 64 yards and a pick. Moore in motion. Moore in space. Moore inside the 40. And knocked down at about the 39-yard line by Brian Urlacher.
Now the Chicago Bears and Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs inside, they love to pressure those A-gaps, and I don't want to get too technical, but the A-gap is essentially on either side of the center, that initial gaps right there, and so it forces offenses to protect inside out, and by doing that in this game, it puts Zach Strief under a lot of pressure. But they have to protect inside, they can't help outside.
is the 27th play run by the Saints here in the first half. Breeze for Colston. Some contact downfield, no flag, as he and Manning got tied up.
And I don't know what Marcus Colston was doing on that one. I don't know if Manning had him hooked or what, but he just stopped running on that play. Drew Brees liked what he saw. He had man coverage down the field, and he just looked like he sort of let up and wasn't expecting the ball. I guarantee that's what Drew's saying. He's like, help me out. Why don't you finish running that route?
So Devin Hester goes back deep to receive the Pakalak punt. The last one rolled into the end zone for a touchback in a similar situation. Sends this one high. Hester lets it bounce over his head, and it is saved by New Orleans in the field of play. Usama Young with a great special teams play. It's a 39-yard punt, no return. The Bears are pinned deep.
Talk about a wake-up call.
And Corona Light. This holiday season, spread the good cheer, and as always, celebrate responsibly.
Nice shot of Millennium Park in Chicago. Matt Forte is back after injuring his right foot on his first carry of the ball game. Bears pinned at their own 1 to start this drive. And Orton fumbled the snap. New Orleans says they have it, and they do. A bad exchange with Olin Kreutz and recovered by Jonathan Vilma.
It almost looked like Olin Kreutz snapped it before anybody else was ready for the ball to be snapped. You could see the rest of the offensive linemen didn't move at all. Kyle Orton wasn't expecting it. He dropped the ball. There's no illegal procedure, none of that stuff, because only the center moved. He snapped the ball. What an unbelievable break for the New Orleans Saints. Wow. Then that's your veteran. That's your Pro Bowler. That's your best player. Wow, what a mistake.
So now each team has turned it over once, and how about this for New Orleans, who's run 27 offensive plays, no points to show for it. 3 tight end set. First and goal. They give it to the fullback Carney, and he gets nothing. Anthony Adams grabbed him first below the pile.
Anthony Adams, Tommy Harris, the Chicago Bears getting down and nasty there. They were so happy to see Mike Carney convert a big 4th down a week ago that helped win the game against the Atlanta Falcons, but that time against the Bears, he went backwards.
A couple of years ago against the Cowboys, the game that Mike Carney had in Dallas. 2nd and goal. Thomas in the flat. Thomas, touchdown New Orleans. He got away from Agoulier and scored. And the turnover by the Bears at their own 1 gets New Orleans right back in it.
Usama Young makes the great play, and then they just flip it to the outside. Always tough anytime you ask a defensive end, Adewale Agoulier, to try and cover a back, but that's exactly what the protection was on that one. He almost got there, just not quite.
3rd touchdown catch of the season for Thomas, and now Garrett Hartley to tie it. And he does with 9:52 to go. So the punt pinned the Bears at their own 1. Orton and the Bears turned it over, and the Saints capitalized. Back in Chicago on this Thursday evening. Thursday Night Football on NFL Network. Bob Popper, Chris Collinsworth, so glad you can join us. Huge NFC showdown between the Chicago Bears and the New Orleans Saints. Danielle Manning got the Bears on the board, returning the opening kickoff, 83 yards for a score. Pierre Thomas has just tied it up with a 2-yard touchdown catch. Hartley with the kickoff. Manning from his own 7. Manning finds a crease. Manning has some room. Manning to midfield, and finally collared and dropped at the New Orleans 41-yard line. Jolan Dunbar slowed him down. 52 yards on the return.
I mean, what are the odds that Devin Hester would lose his return job on kickoffs to anybody, much less Danielle Manning? And here is Danielle Manning, came into the game 3rd in kickoff returns, and you've got to think he may be first by the time he gets finished here tonight. What a night he's having.
So great field position for the Chicago Bears, trying to answer the New Orleans score. Forte back in a tailback. Forte with the carry gets a couple to the 38-yard line. Well, there's offense, there's defense, and there's special teams. Usama Young on the punt coverage, downing it at the 1, Chris, and here's where the Bears turn it over.
And what happens a lot of times is quarterbacks will go on a hard count down on the goal line because they feel like they have nothing to lose. If their guys jump off sides, they move it back 2 inches. If they jump off sides on defense, you pick up 5 cheap yards. Well, that time Olin Kreutz forgot the snap count.
And Pierre Thomas scored. Orton under pressure avoids the sack, shovels it off to Forte, but they're going to lose yardage on the play. Bobby McCray with the pressure.
Yeah, one of the problems that Kyle Orton has, and you can see that heavily taped right ankle, is he just cannot escape in the pocket. When he ran on the field tonight, I mean, he was clearly still limping. It's been about a month that injury has taken place, and here he is out here, and anytime he gets under pressure, he has a really difficult time escaping and buying a second chance. Drew Brees, on the other hand, that's one of his great skills.
Vilma nearly had the sack. 3rd and 13. Orton looking for Hester on the deep ball, and he can't make the catch, but flags everywhere as Jason David committed the penalty. It'll be 1st and goal at the 1 for Chicago.
Pass interference, defense number 42, in the spot of the foul, automatic. 1st down.
Well, Jason David was lucky the first time, not so lucky here. He is no match for Devin Hester in any way, shape, or form. You just see the speed, and then Jason David's going to grab the left arm. Easy call for the officials. Watch him reach out, just grab that left arm. No way to make the catch, and it has been a bit of a nightmare. Jason David's been playing a little bit better this season, but you remember last year when he came over from the Colts, boy, it was not good. So many guys in the secondary out. 3 cornerbacks on this team on IR.
They spot the ball at the 5, although it looked like the penalty was inside the 5. So 1st and goal for Chicago. Orton on the slant to Desmond Clark, and he takes a big shot at the 1 by Scott Fujita.
Yeah, that was big guys on the outside. It was Scott Fujita, Scott Shanley out there against Desmond Clark, and you don't often see big tight ends running slants, but that's a big collision really with the Chicago Bears. The 2 tight ends, both over 30 catches, such a key part of the offense.
Chris Williams comes in as a tackle eligible. 2nd and goal. Forte walks in, touchdown Chicago. Just like that, the Bears are back on top, all set up by the Danielle Manning kickoff return and then the penalty. Seventh rushing touchdown for Forte on the season.
This entire game has been nothing but special teams so far. 2 returns by Manning, the great play by Usama Young, and that's been pretty much it.
Robbie Gould for the extra point. Maynard to hold, and Gould knocks it through. So the penalty on Jason David, 39 yards on the deep ball to Devin Hester, and it sets up the Forte touchdown. Bears by 7. For a 39-yard penalty on a pass play to Devin Hester, Chris.
And I'm not sure Devin Hester is going to make this catch. Watch how far over his right shoulder this ball is. I mean, he may have been able to make it, but it certainly wasn't going to be easy. And instead, Jason David makes the play, an obvious pass interference. Might as well just hand him the touchdown at that point. Not a smart play.
Pierre Thomas back deep, waiting Robbie Gould's kickoff. So the Bears back in front. Thomas from his own 6 slips, gets out to the 25, wiggles out of danger, and then takes it across the 30-yard line to the 31. Hunter Hillenmeyer on the tackle. Well, kickoff Sunday with NFL Game Day Morning, the earliest and best pregame show on Sunday. NFL Game Day Morning, now 3 exciting hours, starting at 9 Eastern, only on NFL Network. Mooch now joins Marshall Faulk, Spiro Dedes, and Warren Sapp on Sunday mornings. You get live look-ins from all the stadiums, the latest reports. Adam Schefter always has the latest news and notes and injuries. You don't want to miss it on Sunday mornings here on NFL Network.
So Mooch is going from what, about 5 a.m. out there on the West Coast all the way through midnight or so? He'll be back in coaching soon.
1st and 10 for the Saints. Thomas hit at the point of attack by Adewale Ogunleye. No gain on the play.
Ogunleye is not having one of his best seasons so far, but this entire Bears defense has been making plays thus far tonight. And remember, this is the #1 offense in football. And you take away the punt, you take away the fumble down on the goal line, and they have just simply dominated the Saints as they've done the last couple of years here.
Remember, on the Saints' first drive in the first quarter, Breeze was picked off as the Saints were driving. Reggie Bush to the outside. Bush shoved out by Kevin Payne, the safety, at the 35-yard line. It's a gain of 4.
I'm not sure what happened to Reggie, but he looks like he's limping a little bit. And honestly, if he just put his shoulder down and tried to get the extra couple yards, maybe he wouldn't have been hurt on this play. Let's see if we can pick up what it may have been. He makes a move and heads for the sideline, and Kevin Payne says, thank you very much. I'm not much for that, not for a running back. If you're a quarterback, okay. You're running back, those extra couple of yards make a huge difference.
Same thing happened late in the game last week against Atlanta, where he could have gotten a first down, but tried the hand-to-hand and it didn't work. 3rd and 6 for Breeze. But Donahue trips him up, but he flips it to Bush, and he will not get the first down as Ogunleye cleans it up. It's a gain of a yard. So Breeze tried to keep it alive as Israel Donahue was heavy in pursuit.
Go with the stack formation, and it looked like Every Henderson was just going to pop wide open down the field, and because of the pressure, Drew Brees just never saw him.
Pakalak to punt to Devin Hester. Hester has not returned a punt for a touchdown since the finale of last year against the Saints. Lets that one hit the ground, and the Saints will touch it down at about the 27-yard line. Well, Drew Brees has been under pressure all night long, and his team trails by 7. Will Brandon Jacobs play for the Giants against the Cowboys, and the keys to the first half? It's coming up next in the Sprint halftime show with Rich and the gang. Looking at the left knee of Reggie Bush, the one he had surgically repaired. 1st and 10 for Chicago. Orton nearly picked off by Vilma, and then Davis nearly caught it. That was one that Vilma should have made.
Wow, that was almost another hand-delivered touchdown right there. If Vilma makes this catch, Jason Davis going to come out and not get his head around very quickly, and Vilma, man, you can't hand-deliver it any better than that. And then you can see, unless Kyle Horton caught him with that bad ankle, that was going to be a touchdown.
Looking at that left knee of Reggie Bush, put a little brace on it. He did not have that when they were looking at him. Forte, who got shaken up on his first carry of the game, takes it out to the 32-yard line. Chris, we'll take another look at where Reggie Bush got hurt along the sideline.
He looked like he was running fine, and then kind of he tried to make that quick little wiggle to get to the outside, and I'm not sure that wasn't when he did it. You know, I don't know. Maybe he got hurt before that. I'll leave it alone.
So 3rd and 5 here for Chicago. Bush seems fine, getting ready. His defense can get a stop here to get out there and return a punt. Play clock at 7. Orton out of the gun. Has some time, completes it to Lloyd. First down to the 40-yard line. Did he make the catch, though? New Orleans says he bobbled it. Juggling it. Knees. Ball. Chris?
Ooh, I think that's going to be
Sean
incomplete.
Payton has thrown the flag. Sean Payton has thrown the challenge flag.
The Bears were at the line of scrimmage. I think they knew they had an issue on that one as well. Sean's happy.
So Mike Carey will go over and confirm that Sean
The
Payton
ruling
will
on the
challenge.
field is a catch. It's being challenged by New Orleans.
So while Mike Carey reviews the play, Brandon Lloyd bobbled it. It was hit by Usama Young from behind. Hits the ground. No catch. Red flag dry clean. This is his 12th challenge of the season, the most by any coach in the NFL, but hasn't had a lot of success. 3 of 11. Chris, the catch by Brandon Lloyd.
I think his percentage is going to go up here. Clearly no control there. Does the point of the ball hit the ground? I think so.
Are you conclusively so, though? It was ruled a catch on the field.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I think so. Pretty sure. Now you'll see Mike Carey come out. They'll discuss it a little bit. He'll confer with another official. They'll write it down if he hasn't already. The yard line, all the different things that go on, and come out and make the announcement.
After review, the receiver did not have control when the ball hit the ground. Incomplete pass. 4th down and 5. Chicago's 32-yard line on the far hash mark. Please put 4:50 on the game clock. 4:50 on the game clock. New Orleans will not be charged with a team timeout.
So a big challenge by Sean Payton and a much needed win right there. That would have been a first down. Instead, the Bears have to punt the football away.
And the Bears continue to desperately look for a second receiver, whether it be Brandon Lloyd, Rasheed Davis, Earl Bennett, whoever it may be, but they have struggled at that slot.
And you saw Lance Moore back to receive this punt. We saw Reggie Bush on the sideline grab his helmet before that 3rd down play. But they've got Lance Moore, who's returned 3 punts this year, averaging 10.7 yards a return. So Maynard gets set for the snap to boot it away. They set up the return. Good punt. Chasing Moore inside his own 15. Reversing his field. Turns the corner. And doesn't get much. Great coverage by the Bears. 56-yard punt, 1-yard return. Well, it's a big doubleheader on NFL Network this coming week. Next Thursday, we're in Jacksonville with the surging Indianapolis Colts take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's Thursday night, December the 18th, and Saturday night, a huge game from Irving, Texas. The Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys right here on NFL Network.
How about the Baltimore Ravens these days? Are they hot or what? One of the highest scoring teams in football now over the past 7 weeks. To go along with that defense led by Ray Lewis, the Cowboys have an incredibly tough schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, Dallas has to play the Giants this Sunday, then Baltimore, and finish up at Philadelphia. False start against New Orleans. With 4:38 to go in the half.
Offense number 73. 5-yard penalty is still first down.
Jari Evans called for the penalty.
Well, the pressure has been the key all night long, and especially coming from the left side. It's been Alex Brown, Mark Anderson taking advantage of the fact that Jamal Brown, the Saints left tackle, has been out of the game. Zach Strief doing the best that he can, but clearly missed opportunities for the Saints all night long because of the pressure.
So Breeze on first down to throw over the middle, knocked away from Colston by Tillman. We're seeing the Bears on a couple pass plays, Chris, really contest the ball in the air.
Well, and it comes down to that. If you're going to blitz, you have to play man coverage behind it. And Charles Tillman, who's been nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year, came up with a huge play there in man coverage. Right now, Marcus Colston on this field or whatever is having trouble getting open in one-on-one situations.
Shockey comes to the left of the formation, the tight end. Now he goes in motion. Toss play to Thomas. Thomas slithers up to about the 12. Adonijah tripped him up.
Yeah, we're seeing Jeremy Shockey now being put in motion to a 2 tight end side, trying to get both he and Billy Miller over there, and they both are cracking down inside, that time against Lance Briggs. Nice pickup, but long way to go.
Talked to Jeremy before the game, says not 100%, but he is feeling better with that sports hernia injury that he had. Reggie Bush not in the ball game here on this important 3rd and 12 for New Orleans. He left on the last series with a left knee injury. And another false start against New Orleans.
False start, offense, number 78, 5-yard penalties to 3rd down.
John Stinch calling the right tackle, call for the penalty.
You know, this is a New Orleans Saints offense that has been so good at home and so bad on the road. We know the kind of numbers that Drew Brees has put up this season, and yet on the road, the 27th ranked passer, and now for the 3rd straight year, it is a bit of a nightmare for Drew Brees and company coming into Chicago. They have done next to nothing so far in this game.
See the numbers between home and the road. 3rd and 17. Brees completes it. Moore makes the catch, but it hit the ground. He had enough for the 1st down, but it hit the ground. So 2 false start penalties. And the Saints will have to punt.
And really, this one's on Drew Brees. He had Lance Moore open, stepped up in the pocket. The protection's good. You can't blame anybody for that. He just one-hopped it. That's a big play in the game. Now you're turning the ball back over to the Bears around midfield, kicking to Devin Hester with a great opportunity to extend their lead.
And this is where you really have the pressure on the special teams, because you haven't moved the ball at all on this possession, and now you got to kick it to Hester. Pakaluk with a high kick. Hester from the 47. Hester tripped up and dragged down by Troy Evans before he could break to the outside. That's a good play by Evans.
Well, I don't want to overemphasize what's been happening on the Bears offensive side either. It's been all Danielle Manning tonight. 2 kickoff returns, one of them back for a touchdown and the other one beyond the 50-yard line to set up the other touchdown play. So Danielle Manning, the guy that has been the majority of the offense for the Chicago Bears tonight.
Well, Manning has more return yards than Chicago has offensive yards. The Bears with 58 yards of offense so far. But they'll start in plus territory again from the 42. Forte in a 1-back set. Hester split to the bottom of your screen. Orton on 1st down. He's got the tight end Clark. Fujita on the tackle. Short gain on the play. With 3 minutes to go here in the 1st half.
Boy, Devin Hester is drawing a lot of coverage right now. I think they fully understand that they cannot cover him. He's out here, but look at all the coverage on the outside as they have this umbrella coverage now, because they know they cannot cover Devin Hester one-on-one.
Well, New Orleans is going to call a timeout with 2:59 to go in the half. And Chicago facing a 2nd and 7 at the New Orleans 39-yard line. It's been a game of big plays and big plays on special teams that have really turned this game around one way to the other. It's a cold night here in Chicago. The Bears haven't really mustered any kind of offense, but you know, they've bending but not breaking.
Yeah, and for the New Orleans Saints, this is sort of the crux of the issue. Yes, they're a dome team, so it's okay to build a team that can throw the football and do all that stuff at home. But at the end of the season, you usually have to go on the road somewhere. And this season and the last 3 seasons, it's been to Chicago, and it looks like that. And people have muffs around their head and Santa Claus hats that look like bear stuff. And it even snowed in New Orleans today, so maybe they should have been used to it, but they aren't handling it so far.
And Sean Payton said his kids got a day off from school, and they were actually building snowmen in New Orleans today.
Little ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but snowmen nonetheless. Snow kids. Hester on the catch, 1st down at the 30. One quick cut, and Devin Hester gets open.
Well, then when you play off of Devin Hester, you don't want to let him run by you again if you're Jason David, so you basically give him that 1st down. And it's really interesting to watch Devin Hester, you know, the return guy, and then they let Bernard Berrien go to the Minnesota Vikings. And so he is their A receiver. He now is the guy that is the deep threat and has to keep them out of all those one-on-one kind of coverages on the outside, and he's growing into that role. You know,
it's Ron Turner, the offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. You know, and they have really enjoyed the luxury of having Matt Forte in their offense because, you know, he's the guy that can do a lot of different things for them, Chris, and it's helped them open up their offense a little bit.
Yeah, it has, and his ability to come out of the backfield, make catches. He's a good blocker back there as well. But this is the offense. If you're the Chicago Bears, they run it through Matt Forte, Desmond Clark, Greg Olsen, and basically Devin Hester. That's it. They're not a great deep ball thrower. They're not going to do a lot of fancy things. They're going to try and win it with defense and those core guys in the middle.
You know, Kyle Orton has been the beneficiary of all of that. You know, remember, he was the starting quarterback a couple of years, lost his job. Lovie Smith said the thing that we loved about Kyle was he never pouted once he lost his job. He stayed focused. He tried to improve, and he really has for the Chicago Bears. Done a good job this year for them. Forte, middle of the field, grabbed by Vilma, but not after a gain of nearly 9.
You know, I think it's going to be an interesting debate about Kyle Orton at the end of the season. For so long, the Chicago Bears have been looking for their quarterback. And is this the guy? And I think I can make the argument that maybe he is, because if you're going to play in this kind of weather, do you really want to invest $10 million, $12 million in a quarterback, or try and put your money in the defense and the running game and the offensive line and play Bears football?
Well, the Bears will take it down to the 2-minute warning with the ball spotted just inside the 22. Chicago in front 14-7. Danielle Manning has had a big game with an 83-yard kickoff return. Bears by 7.
Each night after Thursday Night Football, the guys recap the game live from the stadium. The Home Depot postgame show following the game on NFL Network.
Sirius Satellite Radio, the best radio on radio. Hear every NFL game, every week, everywhere. Plus the Sirius NFL radio channel.
Inside. Cool evening. City lit up beautifully. Coming up next, the Sprint halftime show. How about them feuding Cowboys? Will Brandon Jacobs of the Giants play against Dallas? And some keys to the first half. Cowboys, they do everything big. You know, a little drama going into a big game against the Giants on Sunday night.
So Terrell Owens, he doesn't like the relationship with Romo and Witten, huh?
That's the latest. And
Come on, man. You're good at all this soap opera stuff. Lay it on me. You're a radio guy. Come on.
You had the Marion Barber stuff earlier this week with Jerry Jones, but Jerry backed off that.
That's great.
That's how they get ready for the big games.
Good.
2nd and 2. Orton as his fullback, Jason Davis, plowing his way inside the 10. That is the first catch of Jason Davis's career.
You know, Jason Davis knows this offense through his relationship with Ron Turner at Illinois, and really is the reason he got the chance. Jason McKee out with that quad injury and taking advantage.
Timeout taken here in the first half.
Pepper in some flavor.
Last timeout, Kyle Orton putting together a pretty good drive. 4 for 4, 33 yards.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Kyle Orton was going to outplay Drew Brees, the #1 ranked quarterback and #1 ranked offense. And well, it's been a struggle for the Saints so far here tonight.
Brees 8 of 20 for 75 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. Orton 10 of 15 for 67 yards here in the first half. So 1st and goal for Chicago, trying to build upon a 14-7 lead. Forte, the tailback in the eye. And Greg Olsen with a false start.
False start. Offense number 82. 5-yard penalty. Still first.
And that is just infuriating.
A couple times now. Olin Kreutz, of course, with the big mistake. But this is a tight end driven team. I guess maybe it has since the days of Mike Ditka, but really they like getting both these tight ends on the field. They both have over 30 catches. And they both get involved in the passing game, and now because of that penalty, they may get a chance to catch a touchdown.
So they're spotted at the 15, 1st and goal. Orton, Forte makes a man miss at the 10 and Gets knocked down at the 5. Shanley missed the tackle at the 10. Scott Fujita cleaned it up. It'll be 2nd and goal. New Orleans used all their timeouts, so they can't stop the clock.
And watch Matt Forte here as he makes this catch. Not a lot of fancy stuff. Let's get it up the field, split the defenders, get it down to about the 6-yard line, and that's what he does. You know, he's not a spectacular looking runner, but he's a guy that consistently makes plays, and especially on this field.
So you just put on some longer cleats, make one cut and go. 2nd and goal. Orton to the end zone, knocked out of the hands of Clark by Josh Bullock. Saved a touchdown.
That was just a stone cold drop of an easy pass. That one didn't even have any velocity on it. If he catches that cleanly, the hit by Bullock's not going to do anything to him. He just completely dropped it.
Did he peek a little bit at Bullock's coming at him?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, sometimes when they're that easy, you tend to relax on it a little bit, and he's not going to have an easier touchdown opportunity than that one.
So 3rd and goal for Chicago. From the 6. Orton has a running lane. Orton inside the 5, dives, touchdown Chicago. What a drive by Kyle Orton, and he caps it off with his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season. Bad ankle and all.
All the coverage went to the trips formation off to the right, and as the linebackers tried to run underneath the play, there was simply nobody left for Kyle Orton. Looked a little like Joe Namath limping into the end zone there, but got it done.
Robbie Gould with the extra point. So the Bears have scored 14 unanswered. Kyle Orton said, find me that goal line. Give me a touchdown. Got it.
Why let heartburn stop you when you can stop heartburn?
It in from 6 yards out to give the Bears a 21-7 lead.
You see all the receivers on this side of the field, and watch these 2 linebackers run underneath there. And then Kyle Orton said, all right, you guys want to all play on the right side? I'll play on the left side, and give me the touchdown.
And the only thing that didn't go right was his spike. I know it's cold, but it's tough to handle the ball. He's got to work on that. Everything else worked out pretty well for him. Pierre Thomas from his own 10. Thomas to the 33-yard line. Remember, New Orleans used all their timeouts.
Well, this has been the formula for the Chicago Bears to beat the New Orleans Saints. Just dinking and dunking and tight ends and backs and fullbacks, and then your gimpy-legged quarterback takes it in the rest of the way, and nobody seemed too anxious to hit him either.
You know, one of the keys, too, a couple of false starts by New Orleans, and the Bears defense gets a 3 and out. So it sets up a short field to start that whole drive that went 42 yards.
And the one-hop pass by Drew Brees.
Brees to Thomas has a 1st down. Remember, New Orleans is out of timeouts, 33 seconds to go. Reggie Bush has not returned since injuring his left knee on a run earlier this quarter. 1st and 10 for Brees. Thomas again, but Bears keep him inbounds. Briggs and Tillman surrounded him at midfield.
Have to stop the clock here.
Down to 8 seconds. Brees clocks it. Remember that the Saints won the coin toss and deferred, and it didn't work out too well because Danielle Manning returned the kickoff 83 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, they deferred about 12 seconds worth was all that was. Probably need a gain of about 16, 17 yards here to have a legitimate shot at a field goal in this kind of weather.
And they've got rookie kicker Garrett Hartley,
who hasn't missed yet this year.
11 for 11, but I guarantee he hasn't kicked on a field like this. 3rd down for Brees and 4. He's going to heave it deep down the right side toward the end zone and batted down by Urlacher.
There's the former safety remembering how to do it.
So So that's how the first half ends. Reggie Bush injured his left knee. Saints not able to get it into the end zone. And at the end of the first half, the Bears with a 21-7 lead. Stay tuned for the Sprint halftime show coming up after this break.
With Steve Mariucci, Deion Sanders, Marshall Faulk, and Warren Sapp. So it all got started very well for the Bears, and it's been downhill for the Saints.
Neither offense has been able to get anything going on. We got the high-flying offense of the Saints, but they're held at 93 yards passing. It's been special teams. A couple of kickoff returns by Daniel Manning, one for a touchdown, and it's been the pooch punt by the Saints down on the 1-foot line that led to a fumble quarterback snap and led to points for the Saints. Other than that, it's a pretty vanilla football game.
As always, special teams comes into play on a cold night like it is right now, as kicking off to week number 15 that will culminate in the marquee matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants. Adam Schefter joins us with an injury report for that crucial contest in the NFC East. Adam?
Rich, for the second straight day, Giants running back Brandon Jacobs did not practice due to an injury. I'm told that the Giants will consider holding him out of Sunday night's game against the Cowboys due to that knee injury. Meanwhile, in Dallas, Marion Barber went through a very limited amount of practice on Thursday. There's a good chance the Cowboys could rest him on Friday, and there'll be a game-time decision about whether Marion Barber can go, despite what Cowboys owner Jerry Jones might think.
Very nice. And then, of course, there's a report that's out there from ESPN's Ed Werder.
Yeah, that's a reputable source.
Saying that there's a big problem on the Cowboys offense with Terrell Owens upset with the number of balls that's been thrown Jason Witten's way as opposed to him. Your thoughts, Deion Sanders?
Was Theo upset 2 weeks ago when he had 200 yards? Was he upset a week prior when he had almost 100 yards? No. Where is this coming from? When you lose games, people just want to point the blame and point fingers, and I don't think T.O. is really involved in the situation. The guys that should be upset is Patrick Creighton. Only 2 receptions in the last 2 games. Roy Williams, only 4 receptions in the last 2 games. Those are the guys that should have a problem. I don't think T.O. and Romo have a problem, nor Jason. When I talked to T.O. as early as last night, and there was not a problem at that time.
You want to talk about pointing the finger? I think that everyone on the Cowboys team need to look at them in the mirror and point the fingers at themselves and find out what they could do to make this team better. The thing about T.O., and you'll be surprised about this, he's getting a bad rap right now because of his prior history.
His past?
Yes, with quarterbacks. And now you're hearing the fact that, okay, things aren't going good. It's T.O.'s fault. I hadn't seen much from T.O. this year. I've been waiting for him to explode, and he hasn't. I don't think it's his fault.
He's been doing a good job all year long, not imploding and just pretty much trying to hold everything together. But right now for the Cowboys, it's self-evaluation. It's time for everybody in Valley Ranch to look in the mirror and say, how do I make myself a better player for this team?
Who are we
That's what we're talking about. All of them.
No. It starts with the quarterback.
Who are we talking about?
It starts with the quarterback. Okay. And when you start with the quarterback, if he evaluates his play and he says, okay, I can do better, then he can look at everyone else in the locker room and ask them to step their games up.
Guys, this is nothing that a big win against the Giants can't cure.
True.
And then we stop talking about all this nitpicking stuff.
But another week. Bro, but of course, a lot of people think that they won't be able to come up with a big win against the Giants if there's all this stuff that's going on in the locker room.
Well, if they beat the Giants, we'll talk about it again against Baltimore because we thought we were done talking about the Cowboys and these types of problems when they beat San Francisco, when they beat Seattle. It comes back as soon as you lose. These are things that internally as a team you must fix. So when things go wrong, you don't look to point fingers. You understand we just lost, and that's it.
And of course, the Cowboys defense has to do a better job in stopping a Manning than the Saints special teams did to kick this game off here in Chicago. Daniel Manning's big kickoff return to start this ball game got the Bears off on the right foot. And unlike the Super Bowl where they started a game like that, it's going a little bit better tonight to kick off Week 15 on Thursday Night Football. We'll be back in a moment.
1-7 lead over the New Orleans Saints after one half of play in a pivotal game for both teams who come in with a record of 7-6. Well, Daniel Manning got things off to a great start for Chicago, returning the opening kickoff, 83 yards for a touchdown. Drew Brees has struggled in this game. He's been picked off once, 93 yards of passing in the first half. And Kyle Orton engineers a 42-yard drive at the end of the half, including a 6-yard touchdown run to give Chicago a 14-7 lead. Bob Papa, Chris Collinsworth back in Chicago. Chris, I mean, huge playoff implications here for both of these football teams. The Saints moved the ball early in the game, but they couldn't get it into the end zone, and now momentum has seemingly gone Chicago's way.
Well, and this is a Saints team that has to win on the offensive side, and if they play as poorly as they did in the first half, they're just not going to win very many games at all. But how many games would you say of the Chicago Bears that you could say special teams won the game for the Chicago Bears, or at least the first half, and Devin Hester wasn't a part of it? You know, this has been the Danielle Manning show so far in the first half.
Yeah, the 83-yard kickoff return. He had a 52-yard return as well, and Manning's had a big game. Reggie Bush injured his knee in the first half, did not come back into the ball game. Chicago to kick off to New Orleans. Pierre Thomas to start the second half. Thomas gets hit, flags fly at the 30-yard line as he just keeps battling. Jamar Williams got the first hit on Thomas, but Mike Carey's got some laundry to pick up. Mike will have the call against, I believe, New Orleans. An illegal block in the back is the preliminary call.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the receiving team, both of them number 54. Holding is declined. Personal foul, major face mask is accepted. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So Troy Evans called for the penalty. And Drew Brees has had a first half to forget. Lowest passer rating since 2007, week 10.
Yeah, you have to go back to last season. And let's face it, in good times or bad, it's got to be the Drew Brees story. And for tonight, it has been more bad than good. And they have to get it cranked up right now, early in this second half, to start to get things turned around.
The personal foul, major face mask, was on the kicking team. There are 2 fouls after the change of possession. New Orleans will have the ball at the spot of their foul. First down.
All right. So 1 penalty to each side. So Evans with the hold in the middle of your screen, 54, and then face mask right there by Jamar Williams of Chicago. You know, we showed those Drew Brees numbers, Chris, and you know, people say, well, you know, here we go, dome team playing outside. Drew Brees played his college ball at Purdue. It's cold in Indiana. He's played in this weather before.
So did Kyle Orton. As a matter of fact, Drew Brees recruited Kyle Orton to go to Purdue, so he's had a hand in both those guys.
Pierre Thomas bounces his way to the 33-yard line, picks up a couple. And Drew Brees was at Purdue first, 1997 to 2000, quarterbacking Joe Tiller's squad. And then Kyle Orton came along. Kyle nearly didn't go, though, to Purdue, did he?
Yeah, he almost switched and was thinking about going to Colorado, and Drew Brees called him and talked him back home again, and then Orton almost broke some of Drew Brees' records there.
Thomas on the carry up to the 37-yard line, and there's the gentleman with the mustache in the middle of your screen. That is Joe Tiller, head coach at Purdue, just finished up his last season. Always a good offense at Purdue with Joe Tiller.
No question. A lot of points scored there. And Reggie Bush now coming back into this game for a very key third down. The Saints can ill afford to go 3 and out here to start the second half, the way they've been going so far.
Brees from the gun, under pressure, buys some time, gets the first down to Lance Moore. Big conversion to the 43. And that's Drew Brees at his best, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've shown the worst of Zach Strief. Let's show some of the good stuff. This time he got his hands on Alex Brown, and Alex Brown unable to do it. Drew Brees, one of the few quarterbacks that when he gets under some pressure likes to move left instead of right. I don't know many right-handed quarterbacks that do that, but Drew Brees has a lot of success there, and Zach Strief had success on that one as well.
Big conversion for New Orleans. Thomas finds his way through a tackle and takes it up to the 48-yard line. gets a nice gain on the play. Urlacher missed the initial tackle.
And I think we're seeing a change of strategy right now by Sean Payton. And no longer are they coming out throwing on 1st and 2nd down. They're coming out and trying to pound it with Pierre Thomas, get some of the balance they had last week against the Atlanta Falcons when they looked so good. And what that does is slow down some of these pass rushers, forces them to play the run.
On a 2nd down, Thomas hit in the backfield and he's dropped. Great job by Anthony Adams. He got the first hit on Thomas. It's a loss of a yard.
Yeah, and Anthony Adams getting the chance to play because of the injury to Dusty Dvorak. And he was good last week against Jacksonville. Had 8 tackles in his debut as a starter and made an impression on his coaching staff.
Reggie Bush comes back into the ball game. Adams, a 6th-year man out of Penn State. Signed as a free agent last year from San Francisco. Another 3rd and 5 manageable. Thomas and Bush in the backfield with Breeze. Play clock at 3 as Breeze takes the snap under pressure over the middle, completes it for the first down. Jeremy Shockey with his first catch of the ball game, his 45th of the season. And Sean Payton was telling us that Jeremy's getting more comfortable with what is expected out of him in this offense.
Yeah, a little stunt inside that time by the Bears. Adewale Ogunleye coming on a loop back to the inside, just didn't quite get there. The Saints pick it up, and Shockey with a big play.
Gain of 11 on 3rd and 5. 1st and 10 for New Orleans. Opening drive of the 3rd. The play fake for Breeze. Oh, he's got more open deep. He throws it down to Miller instead. And Miller takes it inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Lance Briggs on the tackle.
Drew Brees that time did a number on Lance Briggs. He fell back underneath. The bootleg pass has it covered perfectly against Billy Miller. And Drew Brees with a little pump fake back to the inside of Lance Briggs got him to freeze and then throw it to the outside to Billy Miller. That was all Drew Brees that time.
Chris, it looked like he had Lance Moore going down the right sideline deep. So 1st and 10 for New Orleans from the 19 of Chicago. Breeze again with the pump fake, sidearms it and batted away. Matt Toina knocked the pass away. 10:26 to go in the 3rd. Bears by 14. Let's check in with Adam Schefter.
All right, Bob, I walked back onto the field with the Bears coach, Lovie Smith, asked him about Matt Forte. He said there will be no limitations on Matt Forte in the 2nd half and that x-rays on his toe were negative.
That's good news for the Bears and Matt Forte. Huge part of their offense. New Orleans needs points. Reggie Bush trying to juke and nothing. Urlacher stuck his pads right in his chest and drove him back. Tillman also helped in the run support.
Yeah, I think the Saints are going to have to start game planning a little bit with Reggie Bush. You know, I think he's effective when he's outside, when he's in space, but not on this field. You know, Reggie's a bounce it out kind of guy. He's not a cut back, one cut, take it up the field, and that's what you have to do on this field. And right now, as I watch the game, Pierre Thomas doing a much better job of that than is Reggie Bush.
And now New Orleans faces a 3rd and long. They have had several 3rd down attempts of long yardage. This is a 3rd and 10. Breeze has to call a timeout with the play clock at 1.
Timeout. New Orleans their first.
So with 9:36 to go in the 3rd quarter, costly timeout having to be taken by New Orleans. You know, Sean Payton was telling us, I've got to really manage myself in calling this football game because he feels in the last 2 trips here to Chicago there was too much passing. If you remember the NFC Championship game, they got back in that game in the 3rd quarter and were running it well with Deuce McAllister and Reggie Bush in a combo. They got to the +32 and they started passing it, settled for a long field goal, and the game fell apart from there.
Yeah, and some short fields because of turnovers. And, you know, it's really hard for an offensive-minded coach. I mean, you have this great offensive team, ranked #1 in the NFL, #1 passing team, all those things going for you. And yet when you come back in here, you're forced to play, as Warren Sapp likes to call it, buck ball. You know, one of those things where they end up having to play a different style. You have to run the football and be more conservative.
And all that juking, and Reggie Bush got an earful from Sean Payton. Go.
I agree with him.
Especially when you get to the outside where this field is even slicker. So it's a 3rd and 10. This will be the 4th third down attempt for New Orleans of 10 or more yards. Breeze with plenty of time. Breeze, Pierre Thomas reaching for the marker, and they're going to spot him just short at the 10. Corey Graham closed late.
That's an interesting spot there.
Can challenge a spot.
Where was he when he went out of bounds and did that ball go across the line?
Tell you what, Chris, we're going to take a look right here. We'll get a good look. He's not out. That's a first down. His foot was in bounds as he reached out. And you can challenge a spot.
Sure
and
can.
Sean Payton, I think, is going to challenge again. He's already won one challenge. And he's going to challenge the spot. And that's a good challenge because Thomas's foot was in bounds. And as he extends the ball while he's going out of bounds, it looked like he had reached the marker.
Sean Payton, a very diplomatic toss of that flag. You know, he's fairly calm and relaxed about it. I think he feels good about this one.
Some coaches just flip it. Others will walk it. Some lose their minds and just fire it.
The ruling on the field was the runner was down short of the line to gain, being challenged by New Orleans.
And this is the difference between maybe sending out the field goal unit or keeping a drive alive. Pierre Thomas turning the corner, reaching right there. Looks like he got it.
And it appears that
been on Christmas here in Chicago. Sean Payton challenging the spot on the Pierre Thomas catch and run. He was spotted out at the 10. Take a look at it again right here, Chris. He's still in bounds and he reaches out with the ball. The yard to gain was the 9-yard line.
Well, it's where the ball crosses the sideline. That's the spot. Now, did he pick up the first down? That's debatable because it was right about on the mark. But I think without question, it's considerably closer than where they have the ball marked right now. I think they're at least a yard off with this mark. Whether it was actually a first down, right there is where it crosses the out of bounds line. That's when it's out of bounds.
Yeah. Well, here's Mike Carey with the call. Worst case scenario, it should be 4th and inches if he doesn't have the first down.
After review, we'll respot the ball and measure to see if it's a first down.
Where?
Well, it's
Where
definitely not the 10-yard line because he did reach out in front of him.
No, there's no doubt that it was a bad spot. But now this is almost impossible. You know, you hate to see sort of a guess, but really for Mike Carey, this is at best sort of an approximation. Oh boy.
So they're going to now measure. They've respotted the ball. That's where they say the ball crossed the sideline as Thomas was going out of bounds.
And the official chains were on the other side of the field, so that is not official as you look there.
Short. Inches short. You going for it here, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's no question about it in my mind. Where does this ball cross the out of bounds line as he goes out? Kind of hard to tell from that.
So New Orleans is charged with the timeout. But didn't they, in effect, win the challenge because the ball was moved to a better spot?
Yes, they did. But unless it becomes a first down, you get charged with a timeout. It was effectively you didn't win the challenge because you didn't get the first down.
A couple of chain links. In a must situation. New Orleans now with only one timeout left here in the second half.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, New Orleans against Tampa went to some tricky stuff. Tried to go outside, tried to reverse to pick up a short yardage. Then last week they went to the fullback Mike Carney and picked it up. Interesting to see if they come back to what they were successful with a week ago. They'll be pressuring that A-gap now. You'll see Briggs and Urlacher right up there next to the center. exploding into this backfield.
I mentioned that they're only one timeout left. Now they're out of challenges as well. Do you just have Breeze pick a side and go? You need 2 inches.
Depends on how you feel about running at Brian Urlacher.
4th and inches for New Orleans. Breeze keeps it, and it looks like Breeze has it. It's close, but as the head linesman comes in where he has it spotted, it's a 1st down.
Good job that time by Carl Nix, the rookie guard. He got hold of Lance Briggs, I think it was, and just blew him straight back.
You know, Chris, really, as we take a look at Drew Brees.
There you go.
Picking a spot.
Look at that for the young guy. They really like him. They say as a physical specimen, 350 pounds, he is something special.
So 1st and goal for New Orleans. Breeze. Intercepted! Adewale Ogunleye. Breeze picked off for the 2nd time. Huge play here in the 3rd.
And he had Robert Beacham wide open. I don't know what Drew Brees was doing.
Tried to throw it back to his tight end. Instead, he throws it to Ogunleye. An assignment. Was he supposed to stay in and block Adewale Ogunleye? Drew Brees picked off in goal-to-goal territory. 2nd interception, and now the Bears take over. Matt Forte takes it up to the 20. Scott Fujita on the tackle. All right, a lot of confusion, Chris, on that last play by New Orleans in a big spot.
Billy Miller got an earful on the sideline from Sean Payton, and he's right here. I think he was supposed to stay on Adewale Ogunleye in this one. Instead, he tried to sneak out late and catch a pass, and all he did was run underneath the other tight end, Buck Ortega. But really, the mistake came from the part of Drew Brees because he missed a wide open receiver down the field in Robert Meacham.
2nd and 6 for Orton. Completes it to the 25-yard line to Greg Olsen. It's about a yard short of the 1st down. Chris, a double whammy.
Yeah, once again, you're going to see that clearly Robert Meacham at the top of your screen was going to be wide open. And without question, that's the first look for Drew Brees. He tried to get cute on the play, come back underneath, and it cost him.
Billy Miller explaining his case. You know, after that replay we showed you, Sean Payton then grabbed Miller and Brees to find out what the call is. Forte goes airborne and converts the 3rd down.
Yeah, I'm sure that Sean Payton was probably saying, did you call it solid? In other words, did you say to the tight end, Billy Miller, to stay in and block, or did you not say that whatever their keyword is for staying in and block? A lot of times it's solid.
And as Drew Brees was looking over those pictures, he had to be just killing himself when he looks at the snapshot of Meacham open in the right corner of the end zone. Forte motions out of the backfield on a 1st and 10. Orton to Forte. Got a 1st down up to the 40. Bobby McCrary on the tackle.
And Randall Gay in coverage simply slipped and fell down. These Saints are having all kinds of problems once they get outside the numbers. Remember, they resodded between the numbers, but outside, just the simplest of routes are causing all kinds of problems for the secondary of the Saints.
And that catch by Forte sets a Bear rookie receiving record. 57 catches. Passing Mike Ditka's mark. Olsen fighting for yardage and giving forward progress right near midfield after Roman Harper turned it back. Boy, you know what, Chris? There's 5:45 to go. The Saints have turned it over twice in plus territory, including down in a goal-to-goal situation. They better get back some intensity right here because their season is going out the window.
Well, it's almost like I want to say I've seen this act before. You know, this is kind of a replay of the last couple of years when the Saints have come up here at the end of the season to play the Chicago Bears. They turn it over, they make mistakes, they don't look like themselves, and they get beat.
Forte gets about a yard, and that's it. Scott Shanley on the tackle. Well, when Brees throws 2 or more interceptions, 1 and 12 are the New Orleans Saints.
You know, they came out on that drive. I thought they established a bit of a run with Pierre Thomas running the football down the field on early downs, and then they got down towards the goal line and reverted to form and started throwing the football.
Saints with 20 snaps in Bears territory and only 7 points. And remember, they got a turnover at the Bears 1 for their only touchdown. Orton on the play fake got hit as he threw it by Will Smith, and that one falls incomplete.
Sure was. And remember the news, it looks like Will Smith will be able to complete the season now because of the appeals will be extended, I suppose. Will Smith watched the move back inside, and boy, he just took John St. Clair, who's playing because Chris Williams, the draft pick, had back surgery when he came in, and I know that was a major disappointment around here. But for that one, Will Smith just too much for John St. Clair.
Bears 3 of 7 on third downs. This is only their second third down attempt of 9 or more yards, so they've kept them in manageable distance, and they still haven't had tremendous success converting. Failed on a 3rd and 14. This is a 3rd and 9. Orton with plenty of time, middle of the field, off the hands of Rasheed Davis, and Josh Bullocks has a much-needed turnover. Bullocks into Bear territory before he's tackled by Desmond Clark.
Boy, Rasheed Davis just keeps dropping the ball, and that's a big one.
First pick of the year for Josh Bullocks, and oh, do the Saints need that one. Trying to get back in this one.
Well, for Rasheed Davis, he now has 7 drops on the season and 4 in the last 3 games, and that one just got the Saints back in the ballgame.
1st and 10 at the Bears 45. Pierre Thomas hit by Anthony Adams after a gain of a couple. New Orleans converted the Chicago fumble back in the first half to their only 7 points when Orton and Olin Kreutz could not execute the center to quarterback exchange from their own 1-yard line. Pierre Thomas scored on a 2-yard touchdown pass.
But Sean Payton now comes back to what they did to start that last drive. Come back to Pierre Thomas, pounding the football. He's sort of a Deuce McAllister kind of back. He's built for this field.
Play handoff. Thomas with some room. Thomas a first down. There goes Pierre Thomas. And he gets in for the touchdown. 42 yards, and New Orleans right back in it. The longest run of Thomas's career, and it goes for 7. And they convert the turnover into 6.
Well, Devery Henderson on the outside got 1 block. Marcus Colston on the other side got another block. Usually when you see long touchdown runs, those wide receivers are making plays. But maybe, just maybe, the Saints have finally settled on a formula that works.
Bakalak to hold for the Hartley extra point. And Hartley knocks it through. So a huge turn of events. Rasheed Davis dropping the pass that went into the hands of Josh Bullocks, and then Pierre Thomas, the Chicago native, with a 42-yard touchdown run.
Use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Fullback Mike Carney gets the block on Brian Urlacher that really set this one free. Slant inside by the defensive lineman, and that one just popped wide open. Good blocking down the field by the receivers.
And Colston picked off Kevin Payne, the safety, and Pierre Thomas 2 weeks in a row now, a receiving and rushing touchdown. He's got 82 yards. That one a 42-yard run. Here's Danielle Manning, who's had a huge night on the return game, but this time dragged down at about the 33-yard line. Well, the score set up by Josh Bullocks, and the interception. Rasheed Davis couldn't hold it, and that set up the Saints.
Inside voices, please.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by the Motorola Rocker E8. One touch from talk to music.
Yeah, there isn't a prettier city this time of year than Chicago as we welcome you back to Soldier Field. Both takeaways by the Saints have resulted in touchdowns, whereas the Bears have not cashed in. 1st and 10 for Chicago. They lead by 7. Late stages of the 3rd. Forte in a 1-back set. Orton will throw instead. Forte in the flat, knocked away nicely by Scott Shanley.
You know, and the New Orleans Saints, because of all the injuries they've had in the secondary, I mean, you just take a look at this. Mike McKenzie, Aaron Glenn, Tracy Porter, Kevin Case-Faharn, the safety. So many guys out that they really have no choice because Devin Hester's on the field. They're playing a very soft umbrella type of coverage. 4 guys back to try and help against Devin Hester. So the Chicago Bears should be able to run the football against this.
Forte, 7 carries for 16 yards. On a 2nd and 10, Forte hit by Vilma and dropped at the 35-yard line after a gain of 2.
Well, that time the Saints guessed right. You're going to see the safety, Josh Bullock, come down here, and instead of a 7-man front this time, they end up with an 8-man front and do a nice job stopping the run. It's always a bit of a chess match back and forth. Can you guess right on defense? Can you figure out are they going to run or pass and get that extra guy down in the box?
3rd and 8 for Chicago. 1 for 2 between 5 and 8 yards so far in the game.
Good job by Orton. He saw the blitz coming, and now the Saints have to check out of it.
Orton checks down. Olsen stops short of the markers. Good pursuit to the football by the Saints defense. Jason David got the first hit. And Chicago goes 3 and out.
Well, that time Josh Bullock came down into the box in a blitz formation. Kyle Orton checked out of it. Unfortunately, what he did to himself, instead of getting man coverage on the outside, the Saints checked into his zone, and that little check down didn't work at all. He would have been better off letting the blitz come and having man coverage with a chance to pick up the first down.
Reggie Bush, who injured his left knee in the first half, back to receive this punt. Maynard, short punt. He gets a favorable roll to the 25-yard line. 36-yard punt, no return. Well, check out NFL.com. Fantasy football season. It's over. No, you can sign up starting tomorrow for NFL.com's playoff challenge. You can win a trip to Super Bowl 44 only at NFL.com/fantasy/playoff challenge.
Well, for Sean Payton, it's always a difficult thing. Do you rely on your quarterback, who is an MVP candidate? He's thrown for over 4,100 yards, has just been sensational. And yet in this game, the right strategy may well be to hand Pierre Thomas the football, especially on early downs, to keep the Bears out of some of those blitzes and some of that coverage.
Thomas, 14 carries for 82 yards. Miller in motion. There's your answer. Breeze is going to throw it.
I don't like it.
Sails it over the head of Carney. Agoulier with pressure.
Well, and I know what they're thinking, because the Bears that time, they adjusted what they were doing too. Mike Brown, the safety, was down on the end of the line of scrimmage. Clearly man coverage. Anytime you see a guy go in motion across the formation and one of the defensive backs run with them, that's man coverage. They thought maybe they could sneak one in, but it didn't work.
1:44 to go in the third. 2nd and 10. Thomas in a one-back set. Thomas turns the corner. Tumbles up for a couple, and that's it. Call it 2 on the play. Roach and Agoulier on the tackle.
Well, now you're in a tough spot, because the Chicago Bears can dial up whatever they want now. You're talking about 3rd and 8. This is a dream scenario for a defensive coordinator. And the Bears, as is their history, now is when they bring something exotic in the blitz package.
Reeves has been sharp on 3rd downs this year. Between 5 and 8 yards tonight, New Orleans is 1 for 2. 4 of 12 overall. 1 for 2 in this range. Orton with plenty of time. Miller's got it. First down. Got hit by Brown, but he's got the first down, and a first down for the Saints.
Well, once again, on a 3rd down situation, the Bears come up in a blitz look and then fall out of it. They really have not come after Drew Brees very much. You see Urlacher, you see Briggs in there in the A gap, and then they're just going to simply run out of it. Now it's just a zone route back across the Billy Miller, and they pick it up.
That's twice on 3rd down now. On a 3rd and 5, they hit Shockey for 11, and on 3rd and 8 they get Miller for 12.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I'm not dialing up a little more pressure. Breeze has success against the blitz, but his protection hasn't been that good.
Breeze to the outside. Colston makes the catch and then steps out. Tillman on the coverage. Picks up about almost 9 on the play. It's been a crazy 3rd quarter. Bears lead is 7. Breeze turning it over in a goal-to-goal situation. Rasheed Davis have the ball go through his hands, picked up by Bullocks, and Pierre Thomas with a long touchdown run. A playoff positioning on the line for 2 7-6 teams. 15 minutes left to decide it. Fans have been bundled up. New Orleans with the football, and on a 2nd and 1, Carney takes the carry and has a first down for the Saints.
And you just have to wonder if the Chicago Bears defense might be wearing down a little bit right now. They have been on the field for almost 27 minutes, and they still have the 4th quarter here to play. Ball control by the New Orleans Saints has been what has turned this thing around in the 2nd half.
58 offensive plays for New Orleans, 39 for Chicago, and 2 turnovers in plus territory have been a key. There's Bob Babich, the defensive coordinator for the Bears, trying to figure out how to slow down New Orleans. Play clock at 1. On a 1st and 10, Breeze to throw. Checks down, has Colston. Colston picks up 9 on the play before he's tackled by Urlacher.
It's so much fun to watch great players go at it in the National Football League. That time Drew Brees called a quick audible. Brian Urlacher tried to call an audible on the other side. The Bears simply didn't get out of their blitz quite soon enough, and Breeze was able to take advantage, hit the check down against the zone, and has another 2nd and short. They have not tried to go deep so far in this game. I wonder if Devery Henderson's about due.
Henderson comes in motion. They give it to Thomas. Thomas has a first down inside the 40 to the 38-yard line.
Interesting. They had 2 2nd and 1s, and they ran it both times. You know, for a riverboat gambler kind of a guy like Sean Payton, that's the perfect scenario to try and dial one up deep. But I think he knows he has the Chicago Bears defense a bit on their heels right now, and he wants to keep them on the field.
25 runs to 35 passes for New Orleans tonight. Thomas 16 carries, 87 yards. Saints averaging 4.8 yards a carry. 1st and 10 for Breeze. To the sideline, Moore with a nifty catch, and he rolls out of bounds at the 29.
And they are going to have their 3rd straight 2nd and 1 situation. And this is a dangerous play for a defense. You know, it really is, because you always have the option now of trying something down the field, and if it doesn't work, then you can come back and try and pick it up.
There's Reggie Bush not involved here in the offense. They're going to run it to Pierre Thomas, and Pierre Thomas is going to twist ahead for a first down. And just continue to move the chains here in the early stages of the 4th quarter. New Orleans trailing Chicago 21-14. Trailed by 14 at the half.
You know, Pierre Thomas now has really put together some great weeks here in a row. 428 yards from scrimmage in the last 4 games. That's 4th best in the National Football League, and he's rapidly closing in on 100 again. Has 88 yards right now.
1st and 10. Breeze with the pump fake, looks middle. He's got Thomas inside the 15, and another first down for New Orleans.
Brian Urlacher that time in the classic Tampa 2 look is going to turn and run back out of there to try and fit the hole down the middle and take that pass away. Thomas just turns around. Urlacher's got his back to him, running the opposite direction.
All this, though, Chris, set up because the Saints have run the ball effectively.
No question.
Staying out of 3rd and longs, manageable down and distance. Thomas in motion. Breeze checks down to Miller. Miller gets cut down by Corey Graham. a gain of about a yard.
Well, Drew Brees, I think, went to his fourth option on that one. He started on the left side, worked his way all the way back to the right side, and finally his last option was Billy Miller, and he just dumped it off to him. Watch Brees. 1, 2, 3, none of it. Dump it off to Miller, give him a chance.
Lovie Smith talked about that yesterday with us. He said this guy will go to his fourth read. You don't see many quarterbacks go to their fourth read and stay calm in doing it. Pierre Thomas hit by Tommy Harris.
Not today. You know, Tommy Harris, it's good to see him playing football again. I think back to the Bears Super Bowl year, and what an awesome defensive line they had with Tommy Harris and Tank Johnson and all those guys in there. They kept their linebackers, Urlacher and Briggs, protected inside. And now he's just coming back into form. We've seen it for the last month. He's starting to play like Tommy Harris again.
Bears are, the Saints are 2 for 3 on third downs between 5 and 8 yards. They hit their last third and 8 on the pass to Miller. Brees timing off as Moore made the catch, and the Bears close fast. Charles Tillman had it read.
It's the first time we've seen the Bears come with an all-out blitz. Watch, everybody's going to come on this one. Brees has no choice but to throw the hot read to the outside. And really, if he had been able to zip that one in a little bit better, or if Marcus Colston had a little better block, they had a chance. They had the lineman coming out there, but because the ball floated, the Bears were able to recover.
All right, Garrett Hartley to try a 30-yard field goal, signed on November the 29th. 11 for 11 this season. Snap is good. Hartley's kick, and make it 12 for 12. So the Saints inch closer on the 30-yard field goal. It's now a 4-point Bears.
On NFL Network is brought to you by Reebok, the authentic outfitter of the NFL. The Home Depot, official home improvement sponsor of the NFL.
Two 7-6 teams battling for playoff position on a cold night in Chicago as we welcome you back to Soldier Field. Bears with a 21-17 lead over the New Orleans Saints. Garrett Hartley has just knocked through a 30-yard field goal. He kicks off and sets forth with a knuckleball taken by the third-string tight end Kellen Davis in good field position for the Bears, and Kyle Orton from the 41.
The heartburn stop.
NFL Network. Good job by Peyton Manning and the Colts to battle back this season. Orton on a first down will throw. Desmond Clark with the catch. Shanley on the coverage. Week 15 of the NFL season kicking off tonight with a huge game. Chris, some other big games as far as division races and wild cards.
Boy, all of them look big to me, but I think a couple of them really stick out. These two right here ought to be absolutely intense battles this weekend as those two rivals go at it.
Forte on second down gets about 2. You know, even the Jets Bills, even though the Bills are fading, Jets are coming off 2 losses, including the one at home against Denver and then losing last week at San Francisco. Suddenly Miami's in play in the AFC East. New England's still right there. They play in Oakland.
Well, how about the Dolphins? If the Dolphins win out after going 1-15 a season ago, if they win out, they would win that division over the Jets and Brett Favre and the New England Patriots. Who would have ever figured that?
Because winning out would mean beating the Jets in the final game of the regular season at Giant Stadium. Adrian Peterson is checked in at running back on a 3rd and 4 for Chicago. Orton looking for Peterson on the wheel route, can't get him. Shanley had enough coverage to make it a tough throw.
Nice read that time by Scott Shanley. He's in man coverage all over the field against Adrian Peterson. He's going to be running down the field. This is an uncomfortable position right there for any linebacker on a running back. but he made the play. And again, the Saints defense is shutting down the Bears. They haven't been able to run the football at all, and their passing game has failed when they needed it.
Bears have run 42 offensive plays. Lance Moore back deep to receive the Brad Maynard punt. Maynard's knocked 32 out inside the 20. Oh, it's a fake. But the Saints have it covered. He throws middle of the field, and Peterson makes the catch. No, and dropped it. It's picked up by New Orleans, but it's going to be ruled incomplete by the back judge.
First down.
Lee Torrance picked it up. Brad Maynard's run a bunch of fakes in his career, and Peterson couldn't hold it.
And Lance Moore, the wide receiver, made the hit.
Oh, was it incomplete?
One great taste, two ways to love it.
Waiting for the Bears to challenge the ruling on the field, incomplete on the fake punt thrown by Brad Maynard to Adrian Peterson. Chris, did he have control all the way through to the ground?
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass being challenged by Chicago.
Boy, here's the rule now. He has to make the catch, get 2 feet down before this hit happens, or he's considered going to the ground. And we all know by now that you have to maintain possession all the way through the end of the catch, all the way through going to the ground. I don't think that second foot was down before he took the hit.
Okay, 1 foot's down, he takes the hit, the other foot's not down.
Now he's going to the ground on his own, and he has to maintain possession all the way through the ground. I believe it's going to be Saints football.
What a gamble by Lovie Smith.
If that second foot had hit the ground and he would have been able to stand up in that situation on his own, then it would have been Bears football. But because he never had a completed catch is the catch, control, both feet down, but that didn't happen on that play.
Maynard played a little quarterback when he was in high school. For his career, 4 of 6 on pass attempts for Brad Maynard, including a couple of touchdowns. And he waited for Adrian Peterson to clear. Again, the one angle that we showed, he did not get the second foot down when Lance Moore hit him.
And how about the play by Lance Moore, a wide receiver who is a substitute back returning kicks, coming up and making that hit, and I believe is going to maintain possession for the New Orleans Saints. And I know this is infuriating for fans because they see the catch, they see a foot down, they see the fact that he was lying on the ground, but you have to maintain possession all the way through going to the ground. And when it kicked out at the end, I think that's going to be enough here.
It's no different than on a play on the sideline when a guy gets both feet in and rolls out of bounds. Does he maintain possession of the ball throughout the entire act of the catch? And he was clearly contacted before the second foot was on the ground. So this is a huge decision here by Mike Carrier, who's been busy with replays tonight.
After review, the receiver did not have control when he came to the ground. The ball came loose in the process of making the catch. The ruling on the field is correct. Chicago is charged with a team timeout.
Take a look at it again right here. 1 foot down, second foot's in the air when contact is made by Moore.
Yeah, and that
starts a whole chain of event.
The key is that because of the hit and because the second foot didn't get down, the hit was part of what sent him to the ground, yes, but now at this point he had to maintain control all the way throughout going to the ground. He clearly did not. Good call on that one by Mike Carey.
So it's a first down for New Orleans in Bears territory, down by 4. Playoff-like game for 2 7-6 teams in the NFC. Draw play to Thomas. Fights his way to about the 42-yard line. And picks up about 5 on the play. Thomas now with 94 yards rushing.
And don't forget, this young man was the only back in history to have 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving. That came against the Bears in the season finale last year. He has another shot at this.
19 carries, 94 yards. Bush 5 carries, 30 yards, but he injured his knee back in the first half. 2nd and 5 for Breeze and company. As Thomas in the flat, fighting off Roach and diving near the first down. Good extra effort by Pierre Thomas, as he took the contact from Nick Roach but kept fighting. Lost his shoe.
Yeah, you might want to call a timeout, make sure that kid stays on the field. He's doing it all, not just rushing and receiving, but he's going to get the chip on Alex Brown here before he gets out and still catches the ball.
Remember, they only have 1 timeout remaining, Chris. They lost one on a challenge, and they had to use one earlier because the play clock was dripping down.
You know, and the other part of this that we've sort of lost is the decision on the part of Lovie Smith, as that one comes up a little bit short, to go for the fake punt instead of backing up the New Orleans Saints down inside the 10-yard line with one of the best punters in football at doing that, Brad Maynard. Now the Saints end up with the ball around midfield and a lot of time to work.
All right, well, the measurement at least enabled Pierre Thomas to get his shoe tied and on. It'll be 3rd and inches for New Orleans. And this will be their first 3rd and less than 1. They converted a 4th and inches. Carney with it, and he has stood up and stopped. Tommy Harris got the first hit, and he is short. Boy, Chris, on the 4th and inches, they went with Breeze. This time they handed off to the fullback.
The exact same play they tried last week against the Atlanta Falcons. Exact same play. This time the Bears got penetration and were able to take them back. I think they actually may have lost a little bit of yardage, although the spot doesn't look like it.
And Lance Briggs was also at the bottom of that pile. And I agree with you, Chris. I think they lost a little bit here.
Yeah, but I tell you, whoever that was, and I just haven't been able to pick up a number yet, the defensive tackle on that play submarined and drove the Saints offensive line back into the backfield.
Lance Briggs was one of the guys, too, that shot down underneath with Tommy Harris.
Yeah, I think it's Anthony Adams. I'm just not sure. Yeah, it was. It was Anthony Adams. We're able to see another replay of it. It was Anthony Adams. Great play by Anthony.
All right, so New Orleans has a 4th and less than 1. They hit a 4th and inches in the 3rd quarter with Breeze keeping it. Miller in motion. Toss to Thomas. Forget it.
You gotta be kidding me.
Why would you go wide against a team that's good going sideline to sideline?
Wow. That is exactly what they did against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They tried it twice against the Bucs. It failed twice, and it failed in a huge spot here.
Nick Roach with a big hit, big stop.
In 1959, two friends.
Well, Nick Roach and the Bears defense, and Anthony Adams with 2 huge plays on 3rd and 4th down. 1st and 10 Chicago. From the 43, Orton dropped by Davis.
Oh, and this Bears offense is doing absolutely nothing. Let's go back to the big 4th down play. Couple of guys that Anthony Adams right there, Nick Roach right there, are going to take one to the outside, one to the inside, and for Anthony Adams, back-to-back humongous plays in this game. I think that young man has earned a spot for good there at that nose tackle position. What a game he's having. 2nd straight good game for him.
2nd and 10 for Chicago with 5:25 to go. Crazy sequence as the Bears try to fake punt. Peterson couldn't hold on to it, and then the Saints can't get a 3rd and inches and a 4th and less than 1. Orton intercepted by Scott Fujita. And New Orleans right back in business with 5:17 to go. Second pick by Orton, and the Saints get another life.
Well, here's the difference between Drew Brees and Kyle Orton. When Kyle Orton tries to go to a second look, he gets lost. Orton is going to go to his right and then try to come back left. Vegeta runs right underneath him. He never sees him, not for 1 second. Vegeta just read the eyes of Kyle Orton when he came back across the grain and makes a huge play for the Saints.
Fujita's second pick of the season. Boy, Bullocks and Fujita with some clutch plays for the New Orleans defense. Saints, though, need a touchdown to take the lead. Brees dropped by Shockey.
Oh, my goodness. They had that one set up big time. Agunlie coming off the edge, and nobody was around Jeremy Shockey. And we have seen some tight ends drop balls that could not be easier.
Last couple of years in New York, that has been a problem. It was a problem for Shockey.
Wow.
2nd and 10 for the Saints. Pierre Thomas gobbled up by Alex Brown. Loss of 3.
Alex Brown said not this time. They tried that same play where Jari Evans is going to pull out and try and kick out Alex Brown, and Alex Brown just simply beat him to the point. Where the Bears defense is coming up with some huge plays along their defensive line at this pivotal point in the game.
This will be the 5th 3rd and long for New Orleans, 9 or more yards. 3rd and 15. They're 1 for 4. Brees over the middle. Colston has it, first down. Inside the 15 to the 14.
You know, there's so many interesting things that go on during the course of a football game. That time, Alex Brown, who just made the play in the backfield, thought he read screen. He thought Pierre Thomas was going to come out on a screen, and he went with him. So consequently, the pressure didn't get there. Double post pattern. Beautiful throw that time on the part of Drew Brees.
I mean, Payne had pretty good coverage. That was a perfect throw. Pierre Thomas dragged down from behind by Danielle Manning, and then Mark Anderson cleaned it up. So now the clock a factor here with 3:42 to go, and New Orleans trying to take the lead.
Yeah, it's an interesting point in the game, and you brought up the fact the Saints with only 1 timeout. So as they casually go about their business, because they'd love to score and give the Bears no time whatsoever, but if they don't pick up a first down or they don't score here, they can't stop the clock to try to get it back.
Saints have never led. Brees to the end zone over the head of Shockey, incomplete. So it'll be 3rd and 7 for Drew Brees in New Orleans with 3:10 to go.
Well, that time Brian Urlacher right here is going to come back in the Tampa 2, and he ran underneath Jeremy Shockey. Drew Brees knew he had to throw it absolutely perfectly to make sure it didn't get picked off, but that was Urlacher making that play.
Between 5 and 8 yards, New Orleans 2 for 4. This is a 3rd and 7. They split Pierre Thomas to the top of your screen. Brees back. Brees to the end zone. Touchdown, Marcus Colston. And with 3:05 to go, New Orleans has their first lead of the night. Battling back from a 21-7 halftime deficit.
All Drew Brees. All Drew Brees. That time he looked off Urlacher to the left, came back in behind him, and made the play. Watch Urlacher right in the middle of your screen. Brees is going to look left. He's on Shockey. He's going to try and get underneath that, and it leaves the throwing lane underneath Mike Brown for the touchdown.
Critical extra point for Hartley. Snap is good, and he knocks it right down the middle. So New Orleans has converted all 3 Bears turnovers into touchdowns. Marcus Colston with the touchdown catch, and with 3:05 to go in the game, the Saints by 3. For Colston, his 2nd touchdown catch of the season. He's battled through injuries this year. after notching 11 touchdown grabs last year.
Boy, what a sequence of events we've just seen here. Third down stop of Carney. Fourth down questionable call on the pitch. Bears defense comes up big. And for the Chicago Bears, a huge mistake by their young quarterback. Never saw the underneath coverage on that one of Scott Fujita, and it cost them big because Drew Brees looks one way, goes the other. And the New Orleans Saints, who look so dead all day. But don't forget, it has been the Chicago Bears and their lack of offense tonight, to me, that has been the major culprit.
All right, they put Devin Hester back deep to return this kickoff. Daniel Manning is the up man at the 20-yard line. Hartley to kick it off to too dangerous return man. It'll be Manning who just covers it up at the 30. And that was the best of both worlds for New Orleans. No return. Well, don't forget, coming up after the game, stay tuned for the Home Depot post-game show. Big NFC East showdown, Giants and Cowboys. A Deion Sanders surprise. We'll have one of the victorious players on our set. Will it be a Bear or a Saint? Right now, the Saints fans loving the fact that their team has outscored Chicago 17-0. Here in the second half, Orton pass deflected, incomplete, intended for Clark. Hollis Thomas deflected it.
To me, the major point of this game to not be missed is the fact that Matt Forte has 9 rushes for 20 yards, and you're seeing this very soft coverage back here. The Chicago Bears and the way they run the football should have been able to run it all night. They simply have not gotten it done with the running game, so now they're having to try and force fit some throws in there, and that has been the difference. A surprising stand here by the defense with just 7 up there for the Saints.
Remember, Forte got hurt on the first carry of the game. This time, Orton finds Hester to midfield. It's a gain of 20.
Well, you're seeing a little bit of the maturation of Devin Hester on that one. He read the zone. He sat it down before he got to Jonathan Vilma, and Orton was able to get it in there.
Bears have 2 timeouts in the 2-minute warning. Blitz is on. Orton throws it and knocked away by Hollis Thomas again. Boy, pretty nimble for 335 pounds.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Saints blitz hardly at all tonight, but that time they did, and Kyle Orton got a little nervous. Really, he had time to stand in and make that throw. His guys had it picked up, but when he moved back out of the pocket, things started to break down on him.
I'll tell you what, I think left guard Josh Beekman got away with a hold on one of the guys blitzing, too. Robbie Gould loosening up his long this year, 48 yards. 2nd and 10 for Chicago. Orton back underneath. Forte dropped at the 45-yard line after a gain of 5. Vilma on the tackle with Randall Gay.
We had a chance to talk to Robbie Gould, the kicker, on the field before the game, kicking in this direction, and he said he thought his range was about 52 yards in this direction, and that's just about where they are now.
3rd and 5. Orton takes the snap. Orton has Devin Hester with cushion and a first down. And that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. Chicago will have a 1st and 10 at the New Orleans 36-yard line as Kyle Orton trying to shake off a couple picks to rally his team back.
At 6:30 in the morning, I have a cigarette, and then another on my way to work. At 10.
Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by Viagra. National Car Rental. Go national. Go like a pro.
Back in Chicago, 1st and 10 Bears from the New Orleans 36. Saints by 3. Orton with time. Orton over the middle. He's got Olsen to the 31. Robbie Gould has only attempted 2 field goals of 50 or more yards in his career. Last year, He missed both. His career long is 49 yards. His long this year, 48. Second and 5 for Orton. Orton. Olsen, first down.
Well, now the strategy starts to change a little bit. You're definitely in field goal range at this point. You have timeouts remaining, and now you begin to play for the game winner. For Kyle Orton, though, hang on. Things start getting a little dicier when you get down close to the red zone.
Minute to go. Bears still have 2 timeouts. Orton, 3-step drop again. Wow, what a catch by Brandon Lloyd at the 18.
Brandon Lloyd has been known for extraordinary catches in his career, and he came up with one here. I don't think Usama Young could believe that he came up with that catch.
Second and 4 for Chicago. Orton again to Olsen. Tackled by Gay. And keep the clock moving. And now Chicago will call a timeout with 19 seconds to go. But Chris, it seems like New Orleans, with Orton taking these 3-step drops, just giving up the flat to the tight end.
Well, you know, at this point in the game, you're hoping to hold on and head into overtime, because Robbie Gould, one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history, I believe 4th most accurate kicker in the game, and obviously right now he's in his wheelhouse. As a matter of fact, this is the direction that he prefers to kick, going this way, because the wind is blowing a little bit from left to right as he would be looking at the goalpost. He hits a little bit of a draw, so the ball tends to straighten out with that left to right wind. This is absolutely perfect for Robbie Gould.
You're going to measure here as they discuss the spot, and first down. 19 seconds to go. The only problem is when you play that draw, Chris, if you leave it out to the right a little bit with that left to right wind, it may not come back.
Yeah, well, at least that's the one that he likes, so that's what we'll have to go with. And now, how much do you trust Kyle Orton?
Take a shot.
Peyton Manning, I'm throwing in the end zone here. Kyle Orton's had a couple of loose ones this evening.
Remember, this drive, they're going to check the spot. We're under 2 minutes to go in regulation, so this is a booth review, and they're going to check the spot on the Olsen catch. He makes the catch. Looks like he made the catch short of the 15-yard line, Chris.
Yeah, well, what they called there was forward progress. So at what point?
But he never had the 15-yard line.
Yeah, I think you're without question that you're right on that one, and I don't even think he was close to that, because even at the first contact, that wouldn't have been complete forward progress until he was under control.
Yeah, I think the first angle that we showed you is he comes across on that sort of shallow out. Looked like he caught the ball around the 16, and then contact was made. He never, it appeared at least to us, that he never gained the 15-yard line. Take a look at it again right here, at the top of your screen. See, he catches the ball. Well, it looks like he catches it.
Yeah, that's not close. I think that's a great pickup by you. That's going to be, I don't know exactly where, but maybe just inside
16,
the 16-yard line, but nowhere close to that first down.
Because, yeah, his feet at one point were at the 15, but he came back to catch the ball short of the marker, and it's where you catch the ball, and then they rule the forward progress from that point. So here's Mike Carey with the ruling on the booth review. He's been busy.
After review, the receiver did not get to the 15-yard line. He's short, so it'll be third down.
That's a good job by the booth to buzz down. Once again, he's at the 15, but look, he makes contact where the ball is when he makes contact, Chris, is, I'd say, 15.5 maybe.
The Bears still with one timeout remaining, so you could take a shot in the end zone here. You could try to convert and pick up the first down and then take a shot in the end zone.
Sean Payton's waving his arms up. holding his arms up, saying get in the passing lane on any of these short passes to his defensive front. So 3rd and 1 from the 16 for Chicago, a drive that started at their own 30. Orton to throw. Orton underneath. Olsen's got the first down, and then he gets out of bounds at the 10-yard line with 12 seconds to go. And that's important that he got out of bounds because, Chris, they didn't have to use the timeout.
Yeah, and that was a good read by Kyle Orton that time. Had the double move on the outside by Brandon Lloyd. He wasn't there, and instead of trying to force that ball, he came down and picked up his first down.
Gold loosening up. What will it be for a tie? Orton to throw. Orton corner the end zone for Olsen, and it's incomplete. And
there's a
pretty
lot
close
of contact.
with Jason David, huh?
Sure was, and Kyle Orton 1-1 too. Jason David knew he was in trouble out there against the bigger man.
How's that not interference? Chris, he's got his arm around him at first. He's grabbing his other arm.
I don't know about that one. If I had been standing down on the field, I think I call pass interference on that one.
So now 7 seconds to go. And they're going to try to run another play here, Chris.
It better be quick.
Yeah, I mean,
any kind of a catch and run. If Orton tries to check this thing down and you take any time at all running with the ball, you could run out of clock.
Orton going to get sacked.
Timeout.
And they get the timeout with 2 seconds to go.
The funny thing is, if they had let him run, they would have won the football game. At that point, Kyle Orton stepping up in the pocket. If they didn't get the sack right away, the clock would have run out and the Saints would have won.
But in all honesty, Chris, as a player, and you played in the league.
Absolutely.
That's something that you can't be thinking, right?
You cannot be thinking, and clearly it wasn't a case of Kyle Orton trying to go down because he knew he was in trouble. He got tackled down, and luckily he was able to get up and get the timeout called. That was close. The
2 seconds close.
The Bears have had some nightmarish finishes so far this season. You remember the thing in Atlanta where it looked like they won the game at the end of the season or the end of the game and came back, and Atlanta ended up hitting a pass and the game-winning field goal.
Just going to take a look at the play again. David is all over Olsen.
Oh, boy.
But no flag.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a tough call for an official at that point, too. You're basically deciding the football game because you would have put that on the 1.
And, Chris, another big moment here came when Olsen made the catch on the sideline. He got out of bounds, so the Bears did not have to use their last timeout, which they had for this last play. This to tie it from 28 yards to send this game to overtime. Maynard to hold. Snap is good. And gold is golden. We are headed to overtime, tied at 24 as the Chicago Bears drive downfield from their own 30 and get the tying field goal with 2 seconds to go.
All right, this is fun. We get a little bonus football tonight.
Well, with so much on the line tonight, with 2 7-6 teams trying to keep playoff hopes alive, let's face it, for the team that loses this game and gets that 7th loss, I mean, it is a lot of things that would have to happen to get in. So it's almost like a playoff game tonight for both of these teams.
You know, and let's give Kyle Orton a little credit. He has not had the best of nights, a couple of interceptions, and yet with the game on the line, he had to take his team down the field, and he got it done.
Once again, here are the standings. Minnesota at 8-5. If Chicago was to lose this game, Minnesota would clinch the division with a win on Sunday. Let's listen to the coin toss.
To break the tie, there will be one sudden death overtime period. Each team will have 2 team timeouts. Fourth quarter rules will prevail. Replay will be handled by the replay official. If there's no winner after the first period, the game will end in a tie. What is your choice? Tails, he calls. Oh, let it hit the ground. Heads it is with the ball. Chicago from the toss, they will receive.
Well, Mike Carey gave the normal rulings and then made sure everyone knew that if it ends in a tie, it's a tie. Awaiting the kickoff to start overtime. Chicago 0-1 in overtime this year, losing to Tampa. First overtime game for New Orleans. Manning from his own 10. Manning stood up and dropped at the 30-yard line. Well, Kyle Orton had a shaky second half, Chris, but on the last drive, leading his team to the field goal, 8 of 11 for 61 yards.
And I'll tell you who's been making plays tonight is Devin Hester. He got the drive started with a couple of catches, and Kyle Orton just hung in there. This is sort of the way he plays, underneath, ball control, don't turn it over, and the only thing he's done tonight is he has turned it over. But now you have to begin to wonder, can the Bears get a little running game going? Again, the soft shell coverage, do they come back to Forte now and try and pound it a little?
Forte working out of the eye on a 1st and 10. And they give it to Forte. Forte for a hard 6. Roman Harper on the tackle. Well, Matt Forte was injured on the very first carry of the ball game. Injured his right foot, went back to the locker room, had it taped up. He's come back in the ball game, 10 carries, 26 yards and a touchdown. Give it to Forte again. Forte with a nice cut in the hole and dragged down by Will Smith, but he's got a first down to the 43.
And I really like the play calling now by Ron Turner. He had to go out, go no huddle, throw the football at the end of regulation. But now that he has time, he's come back here. Again, the soft coverage, and he's handing the ball off and playing some power football. You have to think the Saints defense getting a little bit tired at this point.
Adrian Peterson checks in at tailback, and he'll take the carry. Takes it up to about the 46. Josh Pullocks on the tackle.
Well, now comes that point in the game where you probably are going to have to put the football back in Kyle Orton's hands. He was tremendous. You've established the run a little bit. Now you might be able to come back with a little play action. Devin Hester has had the hot hand all night long. Look for him.
Also Olsen, 8 catches for 45 yards. 2nd and 7. Orton to throw, tries the out to Hester, but he had Clark and Hester in the area. Cedric Ellis got some push.
It's a little bit strange. Devin Hester came off that time and just sort of body slammed Randall Gay, the corner, and tried to bump him off of it, but it threw off the timing of the pass. Devin Hester is just going to slam him, come back out of it, and for whatever reason, Kyle Orton wasn't quite ready for that one.
Between 5 and 8 yards, the Bears are 2 for 4 on their 3rd downs. 5 of 12 overall. Peterson in the backfield with Orton. Play fake, Orton back to throw. Has time, looking deep. Devin Hester downfield. And Hester does not make the catch, but a flag. Roman Harper going to get called for interference. The back judge said you grabbed his hand. Second time that Hester's drawn an interference penalty.
And he's beating double coverage now.
And the spot of a foul, automatic. First down.
What a great route that time by Devin Hester. Double coverage on him, inside, outside. Watch the little inside move. Freezes the safety. Roman Harper goes right by him, and then he does a nice job coming back through Harper to get the pass interference call. Now that wasn't nearly as much contact as the one in the end zone, but it was the right call.
Chris, Harper was late in getting his head turned around, or else he could have made a play on the ball. It was a little underthrown. 38-yard penalty, and now Orton's going to call a timeout. 1:57 into overtime. Robbie Gould going through the mental preparations. Hester's been a nightmare tonight for the Saints defense.
What happened?
Roman Harper still letting the back judge hear it. 38-yard pass interference call against Harper. And now Chicago in field goal range. Peterson remains in at tailback. Orton's just going to get to the middle of the field, take a knee, move back a couple of yards to the 18-yard line. So this will be about a 35-yard attempt.
And Robbie Gould from 30 to 40 yards is 8 for 8 on the season.
Maynard will hold. Patrick Mannelly is the long snapper.
Let's see if they decide that they're going to freeze Robbie Gould with the last-second timeout.
From 36 to win it in overtime. Snap is good. Gould's kick. Timeout, New Orleans.
Taken.
Before the snap, timeout. New Orleans, their first. A 30-second timeout.
And Robbie's laughing at him. He's saying, I can make these all night long. Like Michael Jordan shooting free throws. How many of them do you want me to make?
Robbie Gould back to his net. Working on the stroke. Gould in his 4th year out of Penn State. Signed as a free agent from Baltimore in 2005. Has been an excellent kicker for Lovie Smith and the Chicago Bears. He's already hit from 28 yards tonight. Boy, how about Orton after the miserable second half? I mean, the long drive from his own 30 to get the game-tying field goal, and then putting his team in position here to win it in overtime.
I have to tell you, though, Devin Hester's been the difference. Devin Hester, single coverage, double coverage. They haven't been able to handle him tonight. And without Devin Hester, the Chicago Bears aren't even close in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are 4 catches for 46 yards.
That does not tell the story.
But he's got 77 yards in penalty yardage that he's drawn. All right, now officially from 35 to win it here in overtime for Robbie Gould. Maynard set. Snap is good. Kick on its way, and the Chicago Bears have defeated the New Orleans Saints 27-24 after surrendering a 21-7 lead. They get a field goal late in regulation and then take the first possession of overtime and drive it downfield for the winning kick. And the Bears are still alive in the playoff race in the NFC as they move to 8-6 on the season and 6-5 in conference play. And although the Saints are not mathematically eliminated, that is loss number 7. They're now 4-6 in the conference, and they need a lot of help.
Anytime a receiver gets behind the secondary, if he comes back through the defender, they will get that call almost every single time. Nice job by Devin Hester, who simply put on a show tonight. The Saints could not handle him.
And then Robbie Gould from 35 yards out knocks it right through. The snap was perfect. The hold was right there. And Gould is now 9 for 9 this year between 30 and 39 yards. Lovie Smith and the Bears get a chance to rejoice. And they keep the pressure on the Minnesota Vikings, who have a 1-game lead in the NFC North. Coming up next on NFL Network, it's the Home Depot postgame show. It includes highlights, analysis, and postgame reaction, the Monster NFC East preview, Deion Sanders surprise, and a whole lot more. The final score in overtime, the Bears 27, the Saints 24. Thanks for watching Thursday Night Football on NFL Network.
Second half offensively, and that is not really doing anything except, 3 and outs. So yeah, you had a great deal of doubt in your mind once again, but this time, thankfully, and I'll drink my Bear Kool-Aid.
How's it taste?
They came through awfully good, awfully good.
Why can't they finish off a team? Why can't they finish off a team? I mean, this would have been the 4th brutal loss this season.
Right. Well, plus you're getting turnovers from Drew Brees. We're talking about the most prolific offense in the NFL right now. You hold them to 24 points. To me, that's a win. But especially the second half when the when the Bears come out and their defense, what is 11, 12 play drive, you hold Drew Brees to an interception. Bears can't capitalize. So like you said, Pat, it was good to see Kyle basically rebound from his turnovers and able to overcome them, put the Bears down there to get in the field goal to force it to overtime.
Yeah, the Saints scored 21 points off of Orton turnovers, but in all honesty, 2 of those turnovers were not his fault. Olin Kreutz with the wrong snap there at the goal line that set up the easy 6 points there for the Saints. And then Rashid Davis. And we're going to have to be close to the bleep button a little bit later on because Rashid almost cost this team a playoff chance. As always, we want to hear from you throughout the next 90 minutes. Send us your comments on tonight's game. You'll see some of them at the bottom of our sports ticker. Keep the comments short, keep them clean. It's late night, though. You can do what you want. You can email the show at csnchicago.com. Click on the Bears page and the PGL icon, or you can send us an email to bearspgl@comcastsportsnet.com. Coming up later in the show, Jiggs will pick the best comment from the bunch. The winner will receive an autographed copy of his book, Then Ditka Said to Peyton, the best Chicago Bears stories ever told by Dan and his friend from the Tribune, Fred Mitchell. Details for this contest, visit the new csnchicago.com. But as always, we get the thing going with our opening kickoff, and for that, we begin with our pulling guard, Dan Jiggets.
Well, you know, my comment for this week is just like it was last week and the week before that and the week before that. Offensively, you better start playing the second half of games. I mean, you know, you got lucky tonight. But at some point or another, it's going to come back to burn you. And hey, look, you can't lose anything from here on out. So you better remember that.
Well, for me, I think my opening statement has actually changed because the way the game went. But, much like Jig said, I mean, there's no margin for error for the Bears offense. They need to come through for this team. Got 3 more games. Let's get it together. You can run the table. Great job by the defense tonight, overcoming a lot of adversity.
What do you have for us, Jerry?
Yeah, the Bears played hard, but the mistakes, obviously, that you guys touched on is unacceptable. I mean, this is a team that is trying their hardest to get into the playoffs, and they got to eliminate these mistakes. Long conversions on 3rd down by the defense. Yeah. They have to eliminate that. Drops. Turnovers. They scored 21 points off of turnovers today. That's just totally unacceptable.
And see, that's a big thing. I mean, you look at how, they took advantage of the turnover situation. Now, granted, one time it was on the 1-inch line, basically, when Olin fumbled that football. And you can't do that offensively either. That's 14 points, basically, that they flipped over to the New Orleans Saints. Just gifts, because the Saints essentially should have been out of this game at the half.
We have to get into some of the play calling here. When they're up 21-17, 5.5 minutes to go, why are they throwing the football?
Great question.
If guys catch the ball, are we really saying that?
But you're still trying to run out the clock.
This team commanded a run game. Here in New Orleans, are 20th in the NFL stopping the run?
Right.
We made Cedric Ellis look like all pro tonight. I'm going to be honest with you, the way he was stopping the run. So you'd think the game plan would command more of the run game. Didn't happen. They didn't get that, like you said, because they weren't consistent. They weren't consistent in the play calling to get it going. Right. Relied a lot on Kyle Orton in the passing game. And it's unfortunate.
Did you feel like they panicked a little bit?
I don't know if you call it panicking or just like losing your focus.
Right.
Because one of the things they always talk about, they say, well, we get off the bus running the football. Well, guess what? You got to get off the bus in the second half, too, and do it then. 21-7, you're up in that second half, and you basically slide that run game to the side. And you know that the run game's something that you absolutely have to keep pounding the football in there, and sooner or later something's going to break. I know Matt Forte injured his toe. Yeah. Big deal. He came back and played.
Taking a look at the tale of 2 halves for Kyle Orton, 11-17 in that first half. No touchdowns, no picks, a quarterback rating 74.6. Here was in the second half, 13-23 for almost 100 yards, and he had the 2 interceptions. One should have been a Rashid Davis catch. The other was Kyle, looked like he was checking out of probably a run situation there. We've seen Kyle a couple times this year check out of plays, and it has not worked in his favor. I know he must have saw something out there, Jim, that he thought was favorable with the way they were set up. But, again, you're trying to run out the clock, and you've got a guy behind you who hasn't fumbled the rock.
Right. No, great point. Well, first I want to talk about audibles. I've never seen a team that when you check out of a play, it's so elaborate. Hey. I mean, normally when I played, I could just say, hey, you run the streak read out there. I didn't let anybody else know. I just knew that me and the receiver were on the same page, and it's just me and you working together. When the Bears change a play, It's like the whole stadium knows.
Yeah.
Timeout. You run a go. You run the out route. I mean, it's so elaborate.
They were saying on the broadcast was actually the defense. When the defense switched back, they switched to a zone when they were originally in a man coverage
They're raising
situation.
the rule because they're saying you're right. It's zone automatic. They're checking a zone defense on the play, so it doesn't have to be that elaborate. I mean, there's a game within the game, and it seems like the
so you
Bears.
want to see them be a little more sneaky about it.
Absolutely. Being discreet about it.
How about this game plan? They threw the rock 41 times, 41 pass attempts tonight, 20 runs. 4 of those were Kyle Lorton. So, in all honesty, you could say those go the other way. So, about 16 runs, 41 to really would have been 45 passes, 46 passes.
I'm a big fan of if they can't stop it, just keep on running it. Let's put Devin Hester, run a hitch route on Jason David all day long. I mean, that guy couldn't cover anything.
All day long.
This is a defense. I talk about it. They're 20th against the run. They're 27th in the NFL against the pass. Big plays has toasted this team all year long. And, fine, we missed a post route early. We get the big pass interference penalties later in the game, and that leads to the Bears victory. They could keep on calling the same play until they stop it.
We talked about getting off to a great start, and for the second consecutive week, they got off to a fast start. Danielle Manning takes one back in this one, 83-yard kickoff return to start this game. Ever since the Bears decided to switch him to full-time kickoff return man, he has done an amazing job. Not only does he do that and set up the first touchdown there and, scores the first touchdown to make it 7-0 after the point after, but he had that huge 52-yard kick return, then the aided pass interference call that led to a 14-7 lead. Kyle Lorton, now Mr. December, as he improves to 6-0 in the month. Here he is live on Comcast Sports.
Just up and down, and it was a hard-fought game. I thought our defense just played outstanding. We basically gave them most of their points on offense, just by making mistakes and lack of communication. But defense played great. Obviously, we made plays in the special teams. Great way to start off the game, and we made just enough plays on offense to win the game.
What was your mindset on the last drive to go in and tie it up?
Score. It was on me on the last pick. Never saw the guy and made a terrible decision. But at that point, your mind's just on focus on that drive, on those plays, and trying to get your team into the end zone.
Was Hester your first read on that play?
On which one?
The one before the field.
Yeah. He ran a great route, went up and got to about 12 yards and stuttered the guy, and the safety settled his feet, and that's all obviously Devin needs to get by him. And my ball hung up in the air a little bit, and he made a nice play to go up and go back after the ball and got the PI.
Kyle, were you surprised to throw the ball 2 times in a row when you guys got it back and worked on stuff?
No, you got to get, we're playing the best offense in the league, and you got to get first downs. Didn't work out that way, obviously, but I like it that the coaches can put the ball in my hands and think that I'm going to make plays. Obviously, I proved them wrong on the second play, but we came back and won a hard-fought game.
How did you talk about your touchdown run and then your spike afterwards?
Well, Olin stole all my glamour. I was ready to hit a big spike. I don't get in there very often, and he came out and knocked the ball out of my hands. But no, just kind of the play broke down. There wasn't a whole lot there. Play broke down, and kind of just pump faked it to Matt Forte over there, and the guy just settled his feet enough, and I was able to dive in.
The defense pulls up on 4th down, and you turn it over, and they score. When you get the ball back with 3 minutes left, did you kind of feel like you owed the defense something?
Oh, yeah. This is the best game they've played all year, I think. They really just came out and played outstanding, put pressure on the quarterback, and got some turnovers for us. So, when we had the botched snap down at the 1 that led to a touchdown, and then my interception was left a sour taste in your mouth to let them have 14 points that way. But, it was a game on short rest, and some mistakes are going to happen. We had a little bit too many, but when it comes down to it in December, you got to just make enough plays to win the football game, and that's what we did.
What happened on the botched snap?
Just lack of communication between Olin and myself. In the end, when the ball comes up, I got to catch it, and just didn't happen.
Does that mean it came earlier than you thought?
It was just lack of communication. Nobody's blame. In the end, it's on the quarterback whenever he snaps it to keep it in your hands.
How did the game plan change much at all with Matt going in and out with his injury?
No, not a whole lot. We're real confident in AP. He's been here before. He's been in big games and has played really well. So he's a great offensive player, and he's a great special teams player as well. So he certainly made a lot of plays.
What does that say about Matt Forte to go out of the game and fight to get back in?
Hey, it's a long, hard-fought season, and when you go 16 games, you're going to get a couple of those nicks and bruises, and it just shows to his determination and toughness to come back on the field and want to be out with his offense.
You gonna watch the Vikings on Sunday?
Sure. Hopefully they lose.
Now, do you think since Devin Hester did the Pro Bowl that last play, do you believe that was a Pro Bowl-like call for him?
I think it was a good call. I mean, he's one of our better receivers, and he'd been making a lot of plays for us this whole game. So we had the look that we liked and decided to go after him.
How you think the repercussions were had you lost this game? How much different is it coming out and winning knowing you're still playing?
Yeah, it just feels great. Thought you might have let one slip away, and then to come back and get a big win in overtime. We've been in the playoffs now for us, basically for the last 2 weeks or 2-0. So it's a win or go home basically. So live to fight another day.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Kyle Orton after the Bears' 27-24 victory on the lakefront over the Saints. He outduels his Purdue counterpart on this night, who certainly had probably the worst first half he's had all season long. He goes 24 of 43, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Again, sometimes these numbers don't look great because, again, both of these teams are playing on short rest, difficult conditions. I will say this about Kyle Orton today. It was obvious that the ankle that looked better on Sunday was bothering him today on just the 3 days rest. We'll get more into that in just a second. Here is the head coach of the Chicago Bears, Lovie.
Starting the game, it was about us getting the second win. We knew, it would take, great effort from all 3 phases on our football team. We have a history with the Saints now, playing them in December, and it's always a tough game. We knew what they could do offensively. Thought our guys really stepped up. Defensively, the way we played early on of keeping them, out of the end zone was big. Playing the run, playing the pass well. I mean, everything was kind of going our way. Should have started with Danielle Manning's kickoff return. He's been showing signs of being able to break one all the way for a while. We want him to celebrate when he gets in the end zone, but we'll work with that. Offensively, we stalled there for a while, but at the end, we need to put together a couple of drives, and our offense answered the call. We beat a good team tonight. We're sitting here with 8 wins, exactly where we want to be at this stage, and we'll go from there. Injury-wise, we had a few bumps and bruises early. Matt went out of the game early, but he was able to come back. So we got out of the game pretty good as far as injuries are concerned. Take your question.
Lovie, you've been criticized, your team's been criticized for what's happened.
No, I have been too, but keep going.
For what's going on with Hester moving from the returner, but now you've got a returner, and he made a couple of very big plays getting the calls. Is that what the sort of thing you envision him doing with the big plays down the field with the PIs?
Yes, definitely so. Devin has gotten better and better each week as a returner. Well, not as a as a returner, he's making progress. As a receiver, he's gotten better and better. He's still hard to cover when he's in a one-on-one situation. We've had him open a few times and haven't been able to get him the ball. But in the end, of course, he came through as an offensive weapon to put us in position to win the game.
Lovie, you got a 21-17 lead. You got a chance to pin them down in their own territory. Why the fake punt?
Trying to win the game. That's why you always fake a punt. Trying to win the game. We thought there was a look that we would get where we would be in a better position to convert it. Didn't work out that way, but that's how it goes sometimes.
How surprised were you that the replay didn't go your way?
Surprised. We thought he made the catch and he maintained control as he went down, but a few calls didn't go our way tonight, but in the end, it seemed like it all evens out.
Well, you talk about the defense. Kyle just said that they played their best game of the year. Do you agree?
Our defense has been playing pretty good ball here lately. Really played well tonight, especially when they had to. There are a couple of plays you would like to have back, but we can't fault the effort. The guys are playing hard, running to the ball, and good things normally happen when you have guys playing like that.
An 11-day break before the Green Bay game, is that rewards you get for having to play on such a short week?
Yes, it seemed like it all evens out in the end, too, because the guys were stressed a little bit with the short turnaround for this game. But now we have a chance to heal up. Last time we played the next opponent, they embarrassed us at their place. We're excited about getting a chance to play them again.
Coach, do you think Devin's improvement the last couple of weeks can be directly correlated to no longer returning kickoffs, maybe has some more gas in the tank?
I don't know exactly the reason why, but Devin has been improving all along. It's just when you expect him to score every time as a returner, you kind of forget what he's doing. He has made a lot of progress as a receiver, and I still think it's just a matter of time before we're going to see more and more from the punt return too.
Has Danielle proven that he can be a permanent solution returning kicks, not just this year, but maybe down the road?
Well, you've seen him in the last few weeks and what he's done. And every time we've given him an opportunity, he's done something with the ball. I think he's a legitimate kickoff return guy in the league.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes.
Fourth down, you get the ball back. The thought process between 2 straight passes rather than run on the clock.
Just trying to win a game.
All right. Interesting last question here. All right, this is what we love about this show, your interaction, and this is fantastic. John from Chicago, the governor's not the only one that should resign. Turner should resign also. His play calling is terrible. Well, and that was alluding to the final question there from David Ha to Lovey. Why are you throwing with 5.5 minutes to go in the game and a lead? It looked like Kyle checked out of that one, so we'll put that one on Kyle. But on first down, you throw the rock, incomplete pass.
Right. Well, I can't disagree. You'd think the Bears would have went in their shell and become a little more conservative, but isn't that what we want here? Throw the football, go down the field. Well, look at his stats. He was 24 of 40. Could have easily been almost 30 of 40. To me, it was a pretty productive night for a pass game against a very porous New Orleans Saints defense, but not enough offense. Let's put it that way.
Here's a look at the receivers on this night. Devin Hester, 4 catches for 46 yards. G. Ray, 8 snags for 45. Des Clark, 3 for 11. And the big thing for Devin Hester was drawing the pass interference. So the one that set up the game winner in overtime. And also, earlier, he set up the Forte 1-yard touchdown plunge to make it 14-7. Do you think the referees made some good calls out there tonight?
I thought, frankly, I was disappointed in a couple of them, but yeah, they were the right calls. And even when it went against the Bears, you kind of look at that like the fake punt. That was a play that ordinarily you look at that and you go, hey, you know what, that's a reception because he's down on the ground on his back. But, Jerry, you brought up a good point about what has to happen in there, and it's almost like a continuation.
That's right.
Was this the best, Jerry, that you've seen this defensive line play all season long?
Yeah, definitely. They really got after the passer, and it was good to see it. It was refreshing for once. They were basically winning some of these one-on-ones, keeping Breeze on his toes, chasing him out the pocket and doing things like that. So it was really refreshing to see that.
And you start to see them go back again to batting the football down. And that's again taking advantage of something that Drew Brees likes to do. He likes to get that quick rhythm passing game going. And again, tonight they were slapping them down.
That was huge, and like Jerry said, it's not so much. We always think of sacks are the big numbers, but it was making Drew Brees move in the pocket. That's the big part of it. That's what throws off the timing of the play. You see him even. I think Bob Papa commented, well, he's one of the better quarterbacks that rolls left when you look at Drew Brees, but they did that repeatedly all night where he had to move. It threw off, and then you saw the press coverage that we've been talking about. Threw off the timing of the routes, and I thought that was beneficial to the Bears.
The one disappointing thing, though, is the third downs.
Oh, boy.
The long third down conversions, which just sustain drives and keeps this Saints offense driving. It just can't happen. It's totally unacceptable. They were in a position where it was 3rd and 16, and they come away with about 22 yards, to convert the third down.
Alex Brown gets a big sack.
Gets a big sack, null and void.
3rd and 16, and then here's a 22-yarder.
Right.
Got a lot to get to. We'll break down the game from Matt Forte. Knocked out of this ball game early on with a toe injury. Came back in there. Probably got that thing shot up a little bit. Helped the Bears go to 8-6. Keep those playoff. Dr. Jiggets over there, paging Dr. Jiggets. Gets them to 8-6. Keeps them alive in the NFC North hunt and also in the wild card situation. Here's a look at our U.S. Cellular poll question on this Thursday night. How are you feeling after this win? Here are your choices. A win's a win. B, they got lucky. C, Still not convinced. D, pass the playoff eggnog.
E, I need a drink.
Jerry may be able to help you out over there. We're going to start pouring one a little bit later on the show. Log on to the news, csnchicago.com. Plus, you can send us your thoughts on tonight's game. We'll have the results of our poll question a little bit later on in the show. 5 yards out, his second field goal of the night. Keeps the Bears' playoffs hopes alive at 8-6 now on the campaign. Our William Jackson is standing by live at Soldier Field with one of the safeties of the Chicago Bears, Kevin Payne. Take it away, Billy Jack.
Pat, appreciate it. And I tell you, Kevin, you're talking about a roller coaster ride again. The guys seem to have the game in control. Then it seemed like it slipped away. You pulled it out. How gratifying is it to hold on in the end?
You know, it's we needed this win to keep our hopes alive for the playoffs. And New Orleans, they're a great team. We have to continue to fight hard and continue to claw and scratch. You know, you can't keep a good team down for long. You know, they made plays when they needed to, and they came back into the game. But we just finished strong, you know, as a team, and I think that's what paid off.
I know when we were talking earlier in the week, you said one thing about Drew Brees is he can look safeties off, DBs off so well, but you guys didn't seem to be pulled in by all that early on.
I think we had a great game plan. You know, our defensive linemen played well. You know, they got in his face all night. We had sacks, and DBs played pretty good, and linebackers. It was just a good team effort.
Mm-hmm. And you guys seem to gain tackle in fourth down situations, third and short. You guys were able to run to the ball, gather up, and make it happen.
Well, we knew they had great athletes, Reggie Bush, Henderson. We knew we just had to come in and gang tackle and run to the football, and that's what we tried to do.
What does it feel like now? You live another day. Minnesota has to play this weekend, but for you guys, you kept it alive, and it would have been a travesty not to win this one. Huh?
Right. We just got to continue to stay optimistic and control what we can control, you know, and hopefully Minnesota lose a couple of games and we continue to win. You know, we're going to continue to watch film, pay Green back for what they did to us when we went to Green Bay, and we're just going to continue to try to roll and get these wins so we can hit the playoffs.
Okay. Kevin, appreciate it. You can enjoy a couple of days before the weekend comes, right?
Thank
All right, thanks as always. Kind of chilly out there, huh?
Right. Got a little cold.
But you'll feel better now, though, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, let's go back to you guys. But before we go back to you, we talked a little defense. Now we want to talk a little bit of offense. Bring in Brandon Lloyd. And Brandon, talking about you guys trying to get it going. You came up with a couple of nice catches. Talk about the catch late when it was tipped in the air. You came down with it. What happened on that one?
I don't know. You know, I always tell myself one catch per pass, but, you know, the cold weather kind of does some funny things to the ball. It makes it slick, and it, you know, makes your gloves feel weird. So I was just trying to catch it with my body, and had a little bit of contact and, you know, bounced it off my chest, but I had my eyes on it the whole time, so I was able to kind of recover off of that. So it was definitely something I don't like doing. I like them to look a little better than that.
but the end result is what you'll take.
I'll take it all.
What was the sense of urgency like that last drive when they go up 3 and you guys need everything you can get to get it going?
You know, it's just so tough because, you know, we're 21-7 at halftime. We should have came out on rocking and rolling in that second half, and we just didn't. We came out flat for some reason, allowed those guys to get back in the game. As offense, we left our defense out on the field. So, I mean, it's just kind of like now or never, you know. I don't think anybody had to. Nobody had to give a big pep talk and tell everybody how important this situation was, because we all knew how important it is. You know, it's kind of, you know, this is what we signed up for. We win, we keep on playing meaningful games. We lose, we don't.
And do you learn from something like this? Because too many times this year we've seen the scenario repeated where you guys were in control, you know, presumably on your way to a win. All you have to do is run out the clock and teams get back in, and lo and behold, they come out and win. Do you learn from that to help propel you to victory tonight?
You know, most of it is just kind of just the way the ball bounces sometimes. You know, sometimes you get calls.
Bottom line, huh?
Yeah, sometimes you get calls, sometimes you don't get calls. You know, sometimes, you know, you call a draw on 3rd and long, and you pop it for 20 yards, you know, and sometimes you get stopped in the backfield. You know, it's just a game of football, man. Like, you can't explain it. It's unexplainable.
Now, one thing is explainable is the feeling you have right now, knowing that you guys won't be playing the rest of the season out for no purpose in terms of playoffs.
And it's a good feeling. You know, we get to play Green Bay again here at home. You know, in our environment, which we've been seeming to be very comfortable playing in, and just kind of we know what we got to do, and we just kind of hope that Minnesota's opponents show up and
do what they need to
do what they need to do.
Now, do you even concern yourself with the fact that the Williams brothers, the suspensions, they'll be able to play another couple of games? They make this law, but it still is not being upheld. Your thoughts on it? Just that.
I got some controversial thoughts, so I probably just need to keep to myself. But I don't agree with that. Okay. I don't agree with it at all.
Yeah, because if it's there, it should be upheld. But now they'll be playing, but you guys can't worry about that. You just have to take care of your business.
Yeah.
Will you be watching that game this weekend?
Probably not. I don't watch very much football anyway, so I'd be catching the highlights.
and the most important thing you're concerned about is the end result. The final score.
That's it. I'm not concerned about anything that happens in between there. I just want to see the final score and the highlights.
Okay. Yeah, I know you enjoy the next couple of days. Huh?
Oh, definitely. Just get a chance to get our bodies back together and come back. I think we play on Monday night, right? And do our thing.
Okay, final question. Green Bay, and you kind of alluded to it seconds ago, a little payback in order there. And for you, physically, you're starting to make the plays like you were early in the season. Are you feeling better?
Feeling a lot better. And coach is gaining a lot more confidence in me and getting me back into the rotation and playing the amount of plays I was playing earlier in the season. So, it's exciting. It feels great to feel great.
It feels great. That's truly a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
All right. Brandon, appreciate it, man.
All
right. Okay. Brandon Lloyd with a big smile on his face for very good reason. The Bears get a huge win as they keep their playoff hopes alive. Can you imagine what it would have been like had they not pulled this thing out tonight? It would have been a lot of down faces, but instead everybody's pumped up and ready to go enjoy themselves over the weekend. Back to you guys in the studio, Pat.
All right, William, and now they have 10 days off before they see the Packers on Monday night on the lakefront. Let's take a look at the report card now on the wide receivers. Not very favorable from our professors tonight. D+, D, and D. 7 different receivers for Kyle Orton on this night. Greg Olsen led the way with 8 catches, Forte with 5, Hester with 4. Guys, the best pass play for this team on this night for the wide receivers was the go route pass interference.
Yeah, I think a lot of our grades are based on what happens with the wide receivers in general, because that's where the preponderance of the drops have been coming from, and it continued tonight, and you just can't have it. If it continues, you got to find somebody else to catch the football.
Like Devin, he made an impact, but I'm kind of disheartened there with Brandon Lloyd. Here's a guy who sat out due to injury. Matt Forte got hurt in this game, went in, got a shot, came back in. He caught more balls than you. He had 5, you had 2. You got to step up and start making some plays, because I saw a guy there in that interview that looked like Terrell Owens, who has no business acting like Terrell Owens.
He also has some drops, too.
Yeah. And one of those guys is certainly Rasheed Davis. We've seen this from Rasheed throughout this season. The drop tonight ended up in the hands of the New Orleans Saints and led to a touchdown for them. I know it's a great story what Rasheed has been able to do, to come from the Arena League, to make it, to play on Sundays, Thursday nights, Mondays.
You keep dropping the ball, you'll be back in Arena football.
Well, that's it. I think I've seen enough of Rasheed. I mean, everybody's flooding the email box right now on CSNChicago.com. They've seen enough of Rasheed Davis. I don't understand why we haven't seen another receiver out there instead of Rasheed.
You would think that maybe a Bennett or somebody, I mean, you got to have somebody around that. What's the kid, Hass?
Yeah, Mike Hass is on the practice squad.
Hey, if they can catch up, if they can hold on to the football, you have to play him at this point.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, going into this game, Jim, we knew that the way to beat this Saints team was this secondary of theirs that was so inexperienced. And the question was, did the Bears have what it took on the outside, on the edges, to exploit that? And, it's kind of questionable, but they got it done, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. They got it done. But I think you walk away and you don't feel encouraged. I mean, this team has given up so many big plays when you look at the New Orleans Saints. A lot of people have exploited them. I think Devin Hester made some strides tonight. Here we talk about couple steps forward, a couple steps back tonight. He took a couple steps forward. That pass interference late.
Punt return.
Yeah, nice double move by him. The way he's catching the hitch routes, making plays. I saw great things from Devin Hester tonight. Brandon Lloyd should have had a bigger game. Greg Olsen, in my opinion, should have had a bigger game. Rasheed Davis could have had a much bigger game. I think we know that. Guys have to step up and give this offense help.
I think Olsen, the only thing it seems to me, he needs to put some weights in his pockets, because other than that, I mean, he's catching the football and everything, but boy, he just can't get in there and drive somebody after he makes the reception.
All right, I think we'd all agree the defensive line had their best performance of the season for the Bears. A big part of that D-line. Israel Donijay is standing by live with our William Jackson. Take it away, Billy Jack.
I appreciate it, guys, and I know for Zoom in the studio. We'll get to the coat a bit later, but first we'll talk a little football.
Yes, sir.
Izzy, you guys seem to be in control of the defense. A couple people said probably play one of your better games all year long, if not the best game. But to have it come down and almost not win this thing, how devastating would that have been?
Oh, it's been sickening. We've had those close games before, and they haven't really gone our way. So this is one of those games where we knew it was a must-have, and we had to find a way to win. At the end of the day, good teams find a way to win, and as a defense, we were able to get it done and get some crucial stops. Offense did a great job, and really answered the call. Special teams and some great returns, and just really played well. 3 phases, and then 4th phase, the fans were outstanding. It was a must win, and we all did what was necessary.
And you talk about defensively. What did you guys do in particular? Drew Brees, watched him on television a couple weeks ago. He's just shredding defenses up and down the field doing his thing. He comes in here tonight, and for much of the game, you guys had his number under control for the most part. What was the game plan that was so successful?
It was nothing special. Number one for us was everybody run to the ball. Everyone get to the ball, and whoever has the ball, hit them, and just be aggressive, be physical, and D-line, corners, linebackers, everyone physical, and that's what really it boiled down to. And you saw everyone was just really physical and really beating their man, whoever they were lined up on. They were just were able to get the job done.
And it looks like, before we throw it to Zoom, that this defense is hitting another gear and playing the way you guys are capable of playing and expected to play much of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that time of year. It's that 4th quarter, and we're in a position where we have to win out to squeeze into these playoffs. And it's not over for us. And this was the 2nd big game. We have 2 left, and just we got to do what's necessary. And tonight we did that.
No doubt. Okay, your buddy Jerry Zoom in the studio
Zoom
has something for you.
What's going on? Congratulations on the victory today.
Thank you.
But you know what? We got to talk about this big boy scarf that you're wearing, along with the super duper big fur going on. Please explain that. And you know what? I want to see what you got going on inside.
I'll pull the mic back for a second.
No. Well, this is Beaver. Official Beaver pelt. And this is the John Varvatos scarf. Big boy scarf. For the big boys. Nothing serious. I got the gray affliction joint underneath, and some black shoes, and just shit. Nothing special, but just. Doing it as always. You feel me?
and it's that certain swagger in the voice that comes out with it.
Yeah, you got to talk like I'm doing it as always. You feel me? Yeah.
Hey, Izzy, that's not a scarf. That's a blanket, my friend, an Afghan blanket. But hey, look, let's talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing on the defensive line over the last couple of weeks. It's something we've been talking about here for weeks now. You guys are getting penetration up there, blocking passes. And then in the pass rush situations, you're getting after the quarterback and making him readjust. Why the big change all of a sudden? It seems like, the world has opened up to you guys suddenly on that defensive front.
It's just sometimes it's just how it is. Early on, we were under a lot of flack and under a lot of criticism. Like D-line, we got to step it up, and we knew we weren't carrying our share of the load. We had to find a way to get to the quarterback. Not just that, but to disrupt and cause problems for offenses. And we've just continued to focus and not give up and say, all right, we stayed relentless, and things are going our way now. Guys are getting there, guys are getting pressure, getting their hands up, knocking balls down, and that's what we said. We said, hey, right now it's not going our way, but our effort's there. We just got to continue the effort, keep working hard, and it's going to turn, and things are going to go our way. And it's coming. It's all coming together, and we're making this push, and it feels good.
Okay, and before we let you go, Green Bay coming up in about 10 days. First off, are you going to relax a couple of days? And second off, is a little payback in order?
Oh, man, I'm going to take a couple of days here. This short week, it was something else. Practice, cold tub, massages. You just did whatever was necessary to get your body right for this big game. Mm-hmm. And so now we have, 10, 11 days off. Mm-hmm. You can let the body heal up, mm-hmm. Get 100% or as close as 100 as possible. And like you said, we have a score to settle with Green Bay. We went down there and didn't really play good football. Now they're coming down here to the cold, and we have some work to put on, and then we have to even the score here.
Okay, Izzy, appreciate it as always.
Man, thank
All
you.
right, you're looking good
Fellas.
too, man.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Zoom, you have to give him some serious consideration. All right, Izzy.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right, let's go back to you guys in the studio as Izzy walks away with a swagger.
Yeah, last week it was the winter whites. He goes with the big boy knot and the beaver.
Big boy scarf.
Big boy scarf.
Big boy scarf
tonight.
and
blanket.
We'll
Yeah,
see what he has
Hakeem.
on Monday night for the Packers in about 10 days. Let's talk about this defense and what a great performance they had against the most prolific offense in the National Football League. I thought there were a couple of key plays in the fourth quarter. That 3rd and 8, when the Saints are at the Bears' 12-yard line, they go, Breeze goes to Moore. They blew up that play. They had to settle for the field goal. Then the 4th and inches, and they tossed to Pierre Thomas on the right side. For a second, I thought there might be a third Turner brother in the National Football League. I was thinking to myself, is there one that I'm missing?
It seems the Bears aren't the only team that have the 14 belly in the playbook.
Oh, yeah,
that
they have
give
that
to the
too. I
fullback.
forgot about
they do have the secret weapon, the
When
fullback.
it's guaranteed to lose
Didn't
1
work
yard,
out.
right?
2 weeks in a row. Jiggs talked about it last week. Anthony Adams, I'll tell you what, I'm liking this guy's attitude. I'm liking his tenacity. He's playing pretty hard for the Bears. I think he's giving them quality minutes, showed up big in those 3rd and short situations.
You know, the other kid, too, Harrison, if you watch, at times your eye just kind of goes right towards him, and you notice that he's either making a play or disrupting a play. So they've got 2 defensive tackles here that I don't know if they were thinking they were going to count on, as things took a hole and went through the season. But all of a sudden, these guys are making big plays
And
for
let's
them.
not forget about Alex Brown also.
Oh,
You got it to the mix, too.
I got a whole Alex series coming up.
The Gators play well in December.
That's right.
They're not
He had a
afraid of
huge
cold
game
weather.
today.
He certainly did. Here's a guy we don't talk about much on this defense, Nick Roach. Getting it done at linebacker, also doing it on special teams. A big reason why Daniel Manning had such a huge game tonight. Nick Roach is standing by live at Soldier Field with our William Jackson. Take it away, William.
All right, Patty, you talk about Nick Roach and one play in particular, 4th and 1. They needed to stop talking about the Bears, and Nick was able to come up with the big play. Tell us and walk us through what happened.
It was, one of those plays. We knew, kind of felt that they were going to run it, being so short, and they kind of had success with the short yardage plays. But the D-line did a great job, getting off the ball, getting pushed. And luckily it was an outside play, so we kind of knocked off some of their blockers a little bit. And I was able to turn it back in and slip in there and make the tackle.
And how gratifying is that to come along and see yourself progress in this defense and become more and more a part of it?
It feels good. It's always one of those things. You're going to make mistakes, but at least, make a good play to make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've just been focusing on, not trying to make the same mistakes twice and do something to affect the game.
And when you talk about the push you guys are now getting from the front 4, how vital is that to your success defensively?
It's big. It's just one of the biggest things because every play pretty much starts there. Whether it's a pass play, reducing the pocket so he can't just throw it wherever he wants to, and then obviously on the run plays, if you can push back the first line of the offense, that's better for us being able to run them across the top and things like that.
Okay. Real happy with what you guys were able to do with Drew Brees because I know he has the eyes. He can look people off, do this and that. You're able to contain him. Reggie Bush, not a factor. Even Pierre Thomas trying to do something, not really a factor. He had the one run, but overall you guys were able to control him, especially early in the game.
Yeah, just, like I said, it wasn't perfect, but we made the plays when they needed to come, and guys were just playing hard most of all. Like, when stuff's not 100% perfect and things aren't going well, as long as you're playing hard, most of the time that'll make up for it.
Okay. And Danielle Manning, what can you say about what he's doing in the kicking game?
He's a spark, and we love blocking for him, and he runs that ball like there's no other option but the end zone.
When did you know he had broken the first kickoff of the game to take it back?
I really, I was blocking my guy, and then I turned and looked, and I just saw him, nobody in front of him. And
See that hand up in the air?
He had his hand up about the 50, so I guess he knew he was going before anybody else.
Right. So you pretty much knew that was it, huh?
Yeah, that's when we put it on the board after that.
Okay. And now this one almost turned out to be one of the games like you guys had so many where you were in control, didn't pull it out. Did you guys dig a little deeper and pull something out? Did you learn from past experience, or how would you characterize that?
It's just crunch time. It was just pretty much this would have been the last game of the season if, we hadn't done what we needed to do. Mm-hmm. And, guys felt that tension, that pressure, and that's what players do. When they feel their backs against the wall, they come out swinging and make plays and never give up.
All right, Nick, you guys live for another week. Keep it going. All right, thanks, partner. Okay, let's go back to you guys in the studio, Pat. And again, the Bears rolling out of here. Everybody smiles on their faces. They can celebrate and enjoy themselves. It would have been disheartening to have to go home and look at the last few games of the year, knowing that you're just playing the season out as opposed to playing for a spot in the second season. Back to you guys.
Especially when you had a 21-7 lead at the half, almost let it slip away. But we'll stay positive here. Let's take a look at our Jack Daniels remaining schedule for both the Bears and the Vikings. Again, the Bears go to 8-6 on the campaign, and well, they're down a game, and the Vikings have to make their way to the desert this weekend. Now, as you heard earlier when Brandon Lloyd was talking to William Jackson, that Minnesota judge upheld the suspensions to the 5 NFL players, 2 of them, of course, the Williams Wall. There's 2 more games these guys are going to be able to play. So they're going to be able to go against the Cardinals, and they'll be able to play against the Falcons at least in Week 16 of the NFL. But as you look at this, again, the Packers and the Texans are out of the playoff hunt for, all intents and purposes, and everybody that's on the list for the Minnesota Vikings is still in this game.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think if you start to think like that, you end up with a disappointing situation.
Great point.
So I think what you have to do is look at it and say, you know what, whoever's remaining on our schedule has an opportunity to go to the playoffs. You take that frame of mind and you prepare yourself every week to go out and beat a quality opponent, even if they're not really, a playoff caliber football team. That's the way mentally you have to go out, because just like tonight's game, and we talked about it last week, and the same kinds of things started to develop. You have a team like the New Orleans Saints come in here, and they're really not all of that. Offensively, they are. But you know what? The offense of the Bears lets them back in the ball game. That's right.
There hasn't been a guy in television that's made solid gold popular since Denny Terrio than the guy that's joining William Jackson right now. Robbie Solid Gold did it again from 35 yards out. The game winner after sending the game to overtime. I want you to ask him first up, William, what goes through his mind when Sean Payton tries to ice him there and he goes over and tries to keep that routine going?
All right, let me take care of that for you. Pat Boyle wants to know what's going on in your mind when Sean Payton tries to ice you. You seem like you followed through, like, okay, I'll just kick this one. But what was going on in your mind then?
I really don't think about it too much. The biggest thing is when you're going out to kick a game winner and he's trying to ice you, you get an opportunity, especially here in Chicago, to judge the wind and to get your footing right. And it's great. It's a free kick. You get an opportunity to do it again. And you just got to focus twice and hope that everyone else focuses as much as you do. And everyone did a great job tonight.
Okay. During the offseason, the Bears paid you a lot of money for the work you've done and knew you could continue to do. When you come out to send the game into overtime, what's going on in your mind then, basically, just to keep yourself at ease? Is it just stick with what I know with the body motion, or what? I'm trying to get deep here.
Get me in range again. I have confidence in myself to go out there and make every kick, and I think the biggest thing is when you have guys like Pat Manley and Brad Maynard that do a great job snapping and holding, and I'm the last piece of the puzzle because you have 9 guys out there blocking for you too, and those guys have done a great job all year. They probably don't get the recognition that they deserve, and I'm just lucky to have those guys.
Okay, and final question, you guys needed this one. So close, does it give you even more hunger to keep this season going when you were on the brink of elimination, if you will, but now to have life back in you, what's that feel like?
Oh yeah, it's great. Our playoff hopes are still alive. Hopefully this weekend we can get a little bit of help from, I don't even know who Minnesota
Cardinals,
plays, the Cardinals, and tie this thing up, and let's get ready for the next 2 games.
All right, Robbie, I know you enjoy your 10 days off, man.
Appreciate it. You
All
too.
right.
I'll see you soon.
All right, we'll see you now. Robbie Gould. Guys, I tell you what, Robbie comes up big each and every time. Again, that's why they paid him all the big money in the offseason, because he can deliver, and he does it on a consistent basis. Robbie Gould keeps the Bears' playoff hopes alive. Back to you in the studio.
All right, William, and Jerry Azuma was saying how important Patrick Manley is to this equation, too, a guy that gets forgotten, and you heard Robbie mention him, and also Brad Maynard, another great performance from Maynard today on the lakefront. Let's head to break right now. When we come back, we're going to hear from Brian Urlacher, member of that fine Bears defense that, pretty much held Drew Brees in check tonight as they scored just 24 points. Bears win 27-24 in overtime. Keep it here.
Do that, you keep running. I didn't feel anybody, so I just knew it was good for me to raise my hand.
All right, and not only that, but you know what? People look at that one and they said that was a big one. But you also, right after they score, you come up with another big kick that you nearly break. and that sparked your team to be able to go down and score again. Just talk about the significance of that, and that one important too, huh?
And that's one thing about me. You know, I look at the touchdowns as bonuses, but it's just giving offense, giving our team the field position, and that's what I strive for every week. Trying to get them good field position, get across the 50, often have a little room to work with, and they can score like that.
Okay. Now, you didn't look at the board. You just knew no one was around you when you broke that.
I checked left and right.
Yeah.
And I, you know, of course, I felt the kicker. I went past him, and I looked left and right. And I feel anybody. Yeah. I knew it was a touchdown.
Now, when the kicker was
kind
of.
The thing I was worried about after that was, you know, maybe is it a flag or something? But
right.
Those guys were doing a great job up front, man. I mean, you couldn't ask for any better blocking than that.
You didn't have to worry. Now, when you're going by the kicker, could you even for a second see a glimpse on his face, like he was saying, "Oh man"?
No, he was actually. I think he kind of overran me, but he was still in a good position. I had to cut back earlier than I wanted to, and you know, that's why he had to dive, because I cut back earlier, and once I got past him, man, I knew it was yeah.
Now, did you ever figure, because you've been here a couple years, and when they brought you in here, one of the things they said you could do well was return kicks. When Devin came in and started getting off like he was and having so much success, did you ever think that you would be put in this position again to show what you could really do like you have now?
Honestly, I really wasn't. I mean, to be honest with you, I really wasn't, because Devin was and still is the man, you know, and it wasn't my time, and my time was to play safety then, and then being able to just lose my athletic ability all over on defense. You know.
But once to get the chance, you had to be excited when you said, "Okay, I'm returning kicks. I'm gonna get the opportunity."
Oh yeah, I was excited. You know, I was excited. You know, I told Coach told thanks for the opportunity, and of course, you know, I praise God for the opportunity. And from there, it was just downhill. Just keep running and sticking to what my goal is, and that's always giving offense a chance to give them good field position.
Okay.
And again, the touchdowns are bonuses.
And that was a nice bonus for everybody to get them started. Final question before we let you get out of here, though. Green Bay's coming in here. You get a little rest, but then you have a little payback in order, huh?
Exactly. I mean, we're not going to forget that. You know, that was upsetting what they did to us in Lambeau, but got an opportunity to redeem myself. You know, got 3 days off, recuperate, come back, study film Monday, get ready for Monday night, and we can put it on these guys.
Okay. Congrats, good luck, and I know you look forward to looking at yourself on highlights all weekend long.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Danielle Manning, let's go back to you guys in the studio.
All right, William, and thanks to Danielle Manning for stopping by after his great performance tonight. Let's talk a little bit about Danielle Manning. Probably one of the biggest moves that this Bears coaching staff made this year wasn't Kyle over Rex or putting Forte out there early on or keeping St. Clair in left. It was putting Danielle Manning back there for kickoff returns, taking the most prolific kick returner in the game off and say, look, concentrate on punts, concentrate on being wide receiver, and let's give this Manning a shot. And the kids absolutely excelled.
Well, you know, he said one thing in there, and Jerry, you're a return man, so you know about this. He said that when they kicked the ball, they kicked it to the return side. Now, if you take that and juxtapose it against what's been going on with Devin Hester, when you see Devin Hester start on the left hash mark and try to work his way around to the right, it's not going to happen for him. Right. And I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe, you know, you switch up and just say, hey, everything's a middle return. You know, and that's because there's got to be a way to get him to stop.
Sometimes that's what happens also. You know, if they kick it to a certain pylon, then they'll switch up the return, you know. So if the return was right and they kick it to the right pylon, you might stay on or you might audible and go up the middle.
Because you're seeing a lot of that with Devin now. All of a sudden, he starts on one side and it seems like they're reading it, and then he's got to try to get across the field.
I like the way that Danielle really hits it. I mean, he hits it like, you know, he is on fire pretty much, you know. He just takes it right up the middle of the football field, and he's a tough athlete. He's the type of guy that does not want to go down. You know, he wants to stay up and he wants to keep on running, and I really admire that.
You saw that 50-some yarder. I mean, he moved the pile.
He moved the pile, and he kept it moving.
Taking a look at Devin Hester's numbers, 2 punt returns for a -2. He had -10 on that one return. I know he had his mentor in the house, Deion Sanders. Do you think Devin is pressing when it comes to this? I mean, I know he's a team player and he loves to see Danielle Manning do what he did and get the team going, but when he sees the success Manning's having, is that kind of pressing him to, I got to do something more in the punt return game?
I heard him sometime, I think it was earlier this week, make reference to the fact that he was pressing some. And, you know, and again, the way to break all of that up, I believe, is to, when you catch the ball, run straight up the field and then see what happens, because he will put the pressure then on the defenders to try to make a decision. Then if you break out to the side, then you really cause them a problem.
And he's still a great returner.
Yes, he is.
So he has to always believe that he is, the number one guy out there that's returning those kicks.
And you have to remember, too, like 3 times they basically kick away from him or try to pin it inside the 5-yard line. All right, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll hear from Brian Urlacher. Here once again is our U.S. Cellular poll question of the night. How are you feeling after this 27-24 overtime victory over the Saints? A win's a win. They got lucky. Still not convinced or past the playoff eggnog. Go to csnchicago.com. Vote away. We'll have the results. Led the Bears in tackles with 10. Also had a pass deflection. He spoke to the media just a short time ago.
Well, number one offense, it's a big challenge. Period. They got the best quarterback in the NFL right now. They're running the ball better than they have in the past, and just a big challenge for us overall. We played better in the first half. We did the second, but made enough plays to win the game.
But how important was that first half that you guys kept them off the scoreboard?
I think they scored the first half, didn't they?
Well,
yeah. There's 2 halves of football. Second half wasn't very good for us, but our offense came through there at the end, put some points on the board for us.
Brian, you know what the situation is. Did you feel like you're fighting for your lives out there?
Yeah, we know we have to win every game if we want to have a chance to get in the playoffs. So it was a big kick by Robbie. Some guys made some plays when we had to.
What was it like out there? I mean, so many swings back and forth, and it was a roller coaster ride.
It's a football game, It seems like it happens every game. We've had some lopsided games this year, but it's fun when they're close. You have a chance to, kind of, like you said, swing back and forth there. But it's a little nerve-wracking at times. But when you make plays like we did in the second half, it was fun.
Probably be more fun if you won by 3 touchdowns, wouldn't it?
Sign me up, yeah. I'll take the halftime score in the game right there. I've been happy with that.
Would you rather play right away than have this 10-day break, or is it kind of good because you guys had two?
No, I think, 3 games in, 12 days or whatever, 10 days, however many it was we played. The break's going to be nice. We come back, play Green Bay on Monday night. That's a big game for us.
You touched on Robbie. He's been so clutch for this team. You got to feel pretty comfortable when he's in any situation.
Yeah, anytime he's kicking the ball, I'm pretty sure it's going to go in. No matter what the situation, how far it is, he's made big kicks his whole career.
Thanks.
Brian Urlacher after 3-point victory in overtime, taking a look at the final stats. When have you seen a team have the rock 10 minutes more than the other and end up on the losing end? That's usually not a good recipe. But I think it's obviously, you take a look at how the Bears scored, with Danielle Manning setting up the first one in 12 seconds. And the Saints, they did a pretty good job moving the ball.
Long drives, they turned the football over. Yeah.
I mean, other than, the 1 3rd down, it was a 3rd and 16. I think Jerry was upset that New Orleans converted. But other than Pierre Thomas run, I mean, this is an offense of New Orleans Saints. They're averaging over 400 yards a game. So 345 with 36 minutes. That's a pretty commendable effort by the Bears defense.
Have you guys ever seen the ruling where, you saw Sean Payton challenge the play, challenge the spot. They got the spot wrong. They didn't get the first down, which that was probably even mismarked there. But they end up still charging the Saints a timeout. Yeah. It seemed bizarre because actually, they got the ball, spotted it wrong, but it wasn't a first down.
Essentially, he was right. He won the battle, but lost the war. The battle was to try to get get the mark right. The war was trying to get the first down, and they said you didn't get the first down. So yeah, it is kind of strange though when you see him, say, well, okay, yeah, you're right. We didn't spot it right, but you're still going to get charged that timeout.
Anthony Adams has been getting a lot more playing time since Dusty Dvorak went down. Anthony coming up with 5 tackles on this night. He's standing by live with our William Jackson. Take it away, William.
I appreciate it, Patty. You know why Anthony came on, aside from talking to us about football, what did you say you wanted to win?
I'm trying to win that GQ. Zoom, come on. Give it to me, baby. Huh? Keep the ears warm, match the shirt, shoes. Come on.
Looking good.
I'm gonna be generous now.
Hey, your son won it. You entitled to it.
I know, right? I gotta win it this week. If my son can't have my son show me up.
Right.
Come on, Zoom.
Now, when you talk about it, we're able to smile right now because you guys were able to pull out a tough one. It seemed like you guys were in control. Defense played well. They get back in it, and all of a sudden, this thing becomes a game, and you all have to, dig deep and pull it out. How gratifying is it, considering all you had to go through?
Very, man. We tried to stop the run, and, you know, we were successful up to a certain point, and, you know, we tried to stop the pass. You know, we had a couple of interceptions, Wale, Mike Brown. You know, Danielle had that huge return. It was a, you know, complete game. I think we had a big play in every phase of the game, you know. So, I mean, it was fun, man. Fun to play out there at night, you know, on NFL Network and everything, man. It was fun, man. I had a lot of fun.
Okay. And something to be said for the defense starting to roll, you're in the lineup, right? You're making an impact. Do you just feel like you're contributing in a huge way, which you are?
I'm just, you know, just going out trying to do my job, man, and trying to play within the scheme of the defense and not try to go out there and freestyle and make every play. Just make the plays that they expect me to make and, you know, just play at a high level.
Okay. And now Green Bay, you guys got a couple days to concentrate on it.
Yeah, I know. We got a couple days off and got a long week. Just everybody can nurse their injuries and take care of their bodies and, you know, just get ready for this Monday night game, man. It's going down.
All right, I hear you. Anthony Adams, we appreciate it. And Zoom,
come on now.
The hat, man. Hat says it all. All right, I'm out. I'll give it back to you guys. That's all we can say.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll get Zoom's analysis of Anthony's outfit a little bit. You almost had to change it because we're so used about the big boy knots and the suits and the pinstripe, how everything's looking. With the cold weather, you have to kind of change your thought process. You got to go outerwear. You got to go scarves, hats. So it must be difficult for you to keep that all.
It is, but you know, I'm keeping a mental Rolodex of everything.
All right.
He had 15 coyotes on his head.
Yeah.
He definitely kept warm up top.
Whatever they didn't use to make Izzy's coat, they put in Anthony's hat.
Or coyote.
Hey, well, let me tell you something. We did a pregame show out there today here on Comcast Sportsnet, and when that sun went down, let me tell you something. You better have a couple of layers on because it was brutal, and then the wind started to kick up a little bit too.
Let's bring that up because Jig should be in the running. Did you see that hat he had on today? Had a little red
the old
feather in
lid.
it?
I saw it. The lid. Hey, you know, big fellas.
You know, trying to sneak it in there.
Stunning
Trying
surprise.
to sneak in that jersey. I see it.
All right, coming up, I want to talk about that fake punt situation that we saw late in the ball game. Your thoughts on the decision, and did the referee even get the right call after it was challenged? That's next on Sportsnet at 4:30 on Wednesday. You concentrate on
The offense.
On Thursday,
The defense.
the defense. Bears Blitz, Luke Canellis, Dan Jiggets without the hat at 4:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. All right, great emails tonight. Here's Drew from Rockford. He wants to know, does anybody agree with that horrible fake punt call in the fourth quarter? 4th and 4, Bears had it at the 47-yard line. Maynard tries to go to Adrian Peterson. Looked like Peterson made the catch. First of all, let's just say, should they have made that play call at that spot, or would you have Maynard coffin corner it?
Gutsy, but what do I always say? At home? Yeah, why not? I think, to me, I thought it was a reception. And I even liked how Brad Maynard looked off number 1 and went to number 2 with Adrian Peterson over there. He was looking for the wheel route up the sideline. So, gutsy call, but hey, we're playing for the playoffs. Why not? You know, it obviously led to the victory.
And I think most folks looking at the game would say, well, you know what, that was a catch. Because, wait a minute, he did, you know, he got the ball, came that 2 feet down on the ground.
Actually
he actually rolled on his back. It looks like play is over, right? Because the ball came out after he was on his back on the ground. But why not?
Yeah, well, it's continuation. I mean, you have to maintain possession all the way through that down, and he didn't.
So you have to keep the ball and like run to the sideline with it?
No, you have to maintain it.
So that
it's just like making a catch on the sideline.
Well,
you make a catch on the sideline, you have to maintain it until you go all the way down to the ground.
That's the problem because it almost, to me, I thought he had 2 feet down. And that, to me, is the definition of a football move. Here he had 1, he had 2, and he's getting
do something
hit.
common to the
And
game,
that's
right?
a football move. So
Okay,
it's almost obscure how the rule
What if you're
is.
going out of bounds, and you go out of bounds and you're juggling a little bit?
Well, he
What
wasn't
happens then?
juggling it, though. He was on his back, and then the ball came out.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think it's a really bad, you know, that rule needs to be reviewed. And I tell you something else, another little pet peeve of mine, this whole thing about calling timeouts right before a guy kicks a field goal. Enough of that garbage,
they help
too.
him out also. They help
well,
him out.
Robbie said it does help him out. He gets a little read on the win. But you know what? Come on.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's kind of cheap.
Still to come on the show, we're going to have Jerry Azuma's GQ, who's going to get it tonight, and our MVP of tonight's contest, Bears take care of business 27-24. Otherwise known as the Bears MVP. And Jerry, we begin with you.
Well, I'm going with Alex Brown off the bat. I mean, 4 tackles. You know, he had 2 tackles for a loss. You know, he was pressuring the quarterback like crazy. So my guy is Alex Brown.
For me, Anthony Adams, 2 weeks in a row, he's making plays, had 5 tackles again today. Like his tenacity and like his spirit after the game in his post-game comments. So good job, Anthony.
With the 5 Coyotes on his head. I tell you what, I'm going to go with some defensive guys too. Alex Brown, number 1, I agree. He had an outstanding football game. All the different elements that you need from a defensive end. And Danielle Manning, 179 yards in returns. Awfully good. And if he hadn't had that first one, the Bears would have gone home very unhappy tonight.
I'm going with Danielle Manning for the 2nd straight week. 5 returns, 179 yards. That's 36 yards per return, of course, the big 83 one. And he had a 52-yard return that set up a Forte touchdown that put him up 14-7. So here are your standings now after Week 15, or, you know, partially through Week 15 of the National Football League, at least for the Bears' concerns. Matt Forte still the leader in the clubhouse at 17 votes, followed by KO and Lance Briggs. Bunch of guys bringing up the rear. When we come back, we're going to hear from Devin Hester and the results to our poll question. Keep it here.
As a player, you never practice pass interference, you know. It's just, you know, as a defender, you know, if you feel like you're beat and there's nothing else to do, then the rule is to pass interference, you know. And a couple of times, you know, we kind of got over top of them, you know, and they were forced to pass interference instead of giving up the touchdown, and that's what they did.
But when you got a kicker,
yeah, the best pass play for the Bears on this night was the pass interference call on Hester's 2 deep balls. Here's the results to our poll questions. How are you feeling after this victory? Here's what you had to say after logging on to csnchicago.com. 42% of you said a win is a win. 23 and 23 go to they got lucky, and they're still not convinced. Not a lot of people are drinking the playoff eggnog or Dan's Kool-Aid. This just in to the Comcast Sportsnet newsroom from the Sour Grapes department, from the NFL.com. According to them, Cedric Benson, former Bear, said to NFL.com he could have run for 1,800 yards if he had the holes that Matt Forte has had this year. What's your... Yeah, thank you for the rim shot. That'll be your play.
He could have driven for 1,800. I don't know about running for 1,800.
Maybe boating for 1,800.
His mom would be driving. She'd be behind his wheel.
Well, I mean, you hear that. I mean, can you believe he said that?
No, I really can't.
Seriously.
That to me is stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Because it's basically the same offensive line that he had last year.
Same offense. Forte came in. Look what he's done. Just tip your hat, give the rookie credit, because Matt Forte is a real deal.
All right, we're going to take another break. When we come back, it's Jerry's GQ. A lot of thoughts going through his favorite one. What do you have for us, Dan?
Big game for the Bears. Dan, take another drink of that Kool-Aid for them. Absolutely, my friend.
Andy from Elgin. You're getting a copy of Then Ditka said to Peyton, the best Chicago Bears stories ever told by Dan Jiggets and the Tribune's Fred Mitchell. Thanks for logging on to the csnchicago.com and helping us out tonight. Time now for Jerry's GQ, where the Dapper One picks the best dressed Bear. Jerry, what do you have for us?
Let's just get right into it. You know, we're going to definitely go with this guy. He came out. He showed out today. And it's Prince Israel Adonijah from Zamunda.
Coming to America. And he really did come to America via Canada.
He's sporting the big boy scarf. I mean, the huge boy scarf. Along with the beaver jacket.
The Afghan blanket is what he's sporting.
That's right. He's nice and he's warm right now. He's keeping the cold off his neck and his back. A lot of beaver.
So will he be going to McDowell's afterwards, or, you know?
He's going to McDowell's.
He's going to McDowell's?
He told me that.
Get a double burger.
Mr. Randy Watson.
With cheese.
All right, guys, a couple seconds here. How does this play out? Are they going to close it out, win the last two, and hopefully the Vikings will trip up a couple times down the stretch?
That's the hope. That's certainly the hope. I mean, you know what? They've got some games, they're winnable games. The question is now is you have to take care of your business and not really concern yourself with what the Minnesota Vikings is doing, because, again, if you slip up, it's all over anyway.
That's right.
Gus Frout out. Had a fractured vertebrae. Tavares Jackson back in. Bears got a nice schedule. Minnesota's struggling with the schedule. Looks good.
Focus. If they focus, they can do it.
All right, we'll see what happens. 10 days off. that will reconvene on Monday night against the Packers. That's going to do it for us. 27-24 in overtime. Thanks for watching U.S. Cellular Bears postgame live. For Mr. Randy Watson, Jerry Azuma, Jim Miller, Dan Jiggets, William Jackson, Prince Israel Adonijah from Zamunda. I'm Pat Boyle. We'll see you a week from Monday. Sports Night is next with Luke Stuckmeyer. Much more on the Bears' victory over the Saints. Good night.
Bears postgame live.